auto gain, man.
I think we're going.
We are live. G'day, welcome back to another episode of the Infinite Podcast. We've got a bit of a slim roster this week. Probably waiting for some other people to sort of cruise through. This is my fault. I 110% take the blame for this one. We didn't think we were going to have a show this week because I was supposed to fly out to work, but my flights got cancelled or they didn't get approved, and I can't say that I'm disappointed about that. I think I'm happy. Umbra, how you doing? Welcome back. We won't do the intro thing because I haven't got the screen up this week, but how's your week been? What have you been up to? How's things? What have you been playing? What's going on? What's going on with you?
It's been a week, I'll say that. You know, I'm going to share a bit with you guys tonight. I don't typically share too much, as you know, Risk. I'm kind of private, but I'm not going to go to share too much. Let me take that back. I'm going to share some thoughts. As far as what I've been playing, I've been playing a bunch of different things, but I haven't had anything really catch me outside of Mark of the Ninja. I never played it before until now, and I beat it the other day. Played it locally on the Xbox and on the ROG Ally away from home, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's the remastered version, which is pretty gorgeous, and I love stealth and stuff like that in gaming, so it was just really well done overall to me. It's not a really long game. It doesn't take a ton of your time, so if you all are interested, check it out. I think it's at $20. When I got it, it was on sale for like way less than that. So I loved it. But as far as beside that, I've been playing this game on Steam called Ganryu 2. I actually posted about this on my Twitter. Also, Dave the diver. I tried that out on the old ROG Ally too. Interesting. That was these. I had one more other game I can't remember right now. But anyway, all those were pretty fun. But I guess I'm kind of stalling the inevitable, which is me jumping back into Elden Ring, the DLC, to do the expansion. So I need to get into that and do that. But yeah, man, this week has been something. Actually, this past 2 weeks has kind of been, how do I put this? You know how you kind of feel like you kind of feel aimless a little bit? You know what I mean? And
yeah, like wanderless, sort of how I feel with gaming at the moment, but
yeah, that's kind of how I felt. And it had kind of came to that point for me, even in podcasting, where I kind of felt like, okay. And this is like part of one of my thoughts in doing this. What we do is it got to feeling monotonous, like we're kind of doing the same thing every week. Where, oh, this is relevant news of the week. Let's just talk about that. So I think I've come to a crossroads, and I know this might strike a chord, but I saw Gaz actually posted something the other day that made me think. And he was like, he's kind of tired of the whole same old thing, like all the podcasts kind of doing the same thing, and where he would want to go outside of the box and do something where, you know, it's like genuine debate and stuff like that, which is what I told Fonz and Hargeet, which I like their approach on that when they had, for instance, him and Zalker and Hargeet talking about Hellblade 2. I thought that was one of their better shows simply because there was actual debate. Now, the results may vary, as a lot of people hated on Hargeet for that. But in general, I think it creates more stimulation to have actual debate. And I've actually floated that idea to you too, if you remember me telling you, where I said that I think that would be a smart idea for you because I know you love debate and you love to challenge yourself on that. You know, I love to debate too, but I think I probably love to argue more than debate. But anyway, regardless.
I like the fight, man.
Yeah,
I love that. That's why we you know, we used to do those spaces back in the day. Then it just became crazy and we had to kick basically all the ponies they can't handle when they're wrong and they get kicked out. It's
pretty much. But indeed, finish him. Flawless victory. Pontality. But yeah, so I've been kind of thinking, man, what can I do as far as content creation to change up the I guess the status quo of what we do?
I mean, you could do some hot tub shows, you know.
Some what type of shows?
Hot tub shows, you know. You get a hot tub, turn the camera on.
Yeah.
Whack on a Borat mankini.
Yeah. Hello,
I
everybody.
think that'd be good. I think
Yeah.
that'd go well.
That could work, I suppose. I guess so. Yeah, I suppose. Welcome to Sexual Chocolate, everyone. I don't know.
Sexual chocolate.
Sexual chocolate. But yeah, man, I've just been thinking as far as what we do as far as content creation, podcasting, whatever. I just want to kind of step outside of the box because it starts to feel a little the samey after a while. Also, too, it's like it's so many of us doing it, right? And it feels like a saturation. So I'm kind of wondering what to do to stand apart from that. And we have actually an interesting topic on here tonight that touches on a bit of that, of what you all in the audience, what you all expect and what you desire and want to hear, and how that kind of plays into a lot of it too, because it
Feet
does.
pics.
Yeah, there you go. I'll send you some bunions. But it it plays into that because while we want to be authentic, we also want to appeal to what you guys like. You know what I mean? So to kind of cater to that. So at times it can feel pandering, but at the same time, I don't want to pander and do things that I don't feel like doing either. So I guess I'm at a crossroads. So, but yeah, it's just that in general life, I suppose, has kind of kept me kind of feeling like, that's the best way I could put it is, So I didn't have a show this week, had things going on, so I had to cancel this week, unfortunately. But
Right.
I am happy to be here tonight. It seems like it's just me and you for now, but we'll see how this works out.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think Mr. Bushido's we got Mr. Bushido coming on through. We got maybe some other people coming on through. I threw out some open invites, but I think he's having a seniors moment. So he's trying to work out how to click the link. So that's
these newfangled machines.
He is a Biden voter. He's not a Biden voter. I just made that up. But he obviously relates. Yeah, I get what you're saying, man. One of the topics tonight is a little bit off, related to the gaming scene and what we see in the gaming scene, in the gaming podcasts. Because obviously, I get around, I watch a lot. You may not even know I'm there because a lot of the times I got a lot of stuff on, so I'll be doing stuff whilst listening and not really participating in the chat. So, I'm always sort of listening to this podcast or that podcast. And I agree, man, there's a lot of them that are just really the same. Like back when Infinite started, there wasn't that many. There was like a few. Now it's just sort of out of control. And I feel like the podcast scene has splintered into a whole bunch of different factions of, the type of podcast, the type of podcast that you, I guess you've got your moderates, you've got your sycophants, crazy Xbox positives. I would say we're moderates, we're fans. We have a bias. It's clear that our bias is Xbox, but, we're honest with how we feel about particular things, and we don't pander, which is one of the topics tonight. But it's a bit of an interesting topic, and it came up because I was listening to I listen to other podcasts as well, but I was listening to a podcast just about someone's political journey, and I was like, that's something that happens in the gaming space as well. So I thought it was interesting, and we'll jump on to We'll definitely jump into that topic later on.
Was it the sacred symbols when they were talking about the politics and such?
No.
Oh, okay.
It's a podcast. I mean, people will probably be like, this is the thing with this podcast is people will be like, oh, you're this way politically, but I listen to a whole bunch of stuff. But I was watching Trigonometry, which is a couple of comedians from the UK. They're huge, and they just have different guests on from different sides of the political sphere, or like people who have an interesting story. Like they've had, I think Andrew Tate on. They've had that guy on. They've had on who's hard left. They've had on some hard like progressive liberals, like crazy stuff, and hard rights, and like not alt rights, but hard rights. They've had, they've had
Destiny on there yet?
Yeah, they've had Destiny on there.
Nice.
They've had like just a bunch of different types of people, and there was the one where this topic came on. We probably should just jump into this topic off the bat because everyone wants to talk the Game Pass thing, but it's pretty interesting for me. I do love comedy.
Get the rocks.
But like she was supporting trad wives. I don't know if you know what trad wives are, but like traditional wives stay at home and like support their, it's a very right wing sort of.
I know about them. I watch a lot of these. I've watched a few of these whatever podcasts and such, and some of the little red pill shows. Those are more annoying. I don't think whatever is for red pill, but it's close enough.
Oh no, but she was a red pill.
She was? Okay.
Yeah, she was, but the thing that sort of got that, she lived a life. She was 22 when she was famous. She's been banned from countries. I can't remember her name, and she's changed. She started. She got divorced from her partner. Or her partner left her because whatever. She's had kids, and life happened to her, and she started to realize that holy shit, like, life isn't just black and white. Things happen, and one of the comparisons that she made was like, my friend did the perfect trad wife thing. She met a guy at church, married the dude, whatever, and ended up divorced. She ended up with $100 in her bank and nothing, right? Because the guy owned everything. She had a career. She didn't do the perfect trad wife thing, but she ended up in the same boat, because people were telling her if you'd done it traditionally properly, it wouldn't have happened. And she's like, well, I actually ended up in a better position because I had this, this whole social media sort of digital, doing speeches, visiting places, giving speeches type thing. So she ended up in a better position. So, it was sort of an interesting, one of the topics that came up that happens in gaming as it relates to gaming. And it's the long story to get to this topic. And this was meant to just be a side topic if we didn't, is something that's called audience capture. And so I love every single one of you guys in the audience. Shout out to Lotus Esprit. They gifted 20 memberships. Thank you very much. You're an absolute champion. And guys, please, thank you, Lotus. And do thank Lotus as well, because I hate it when people don't do that.
Thank you, Lotus.
So audience capture. And a lot of people would say like it's pandering, and that's all true. It's absolutely true, but it can be really sort of sad to see. And it could be this symbiotic, really toxic relationship between creators and their audience, where their audience expects a single type of opinion to come from that creator. And we're human, man. Like our opinions evolve over time. And I hate to use the most extreme case of audience bad boy Bubby in the chat. I hate to use the huge extremes in the gaming sphere, but I would argue that Tim Dog for a long time was captured by his audience. Like the man had never picked up a PlayStation, until recently. He didn't know what the games were like. He really didn't have, I love Tim and I'm not having a crack at him. But I'm just saying he didn't have any real right to talk on the topic of PlayStation or gaming as a whole, because he had only experienced one half of that sphere. But he was so captured by his audience, so his identity had become so much of Xbox that he was all in, and that was that. So
it's interesting. Yeah, it's really juxtaposition. Actually, when I saw our brother Tim Dog on a Hooved show recently, I saw him on there chatting it up with the Hooved brothers, and a bit of hilarity when J-Dub thought that Power World was bought by Sony and was super excited. I love when they, by the way, just as an aside, I love when our Hoove brothers get caught up in the excitement of something they downgraded and diminished maybe a month or a week before that. So they tore it down before, but now it's like, oh, Sony's buying Power World. Oh, and then Portal Rock actually reads it as like, oh no, this is a separate thing. This is for merchandise. He's like, oh, And all you heard was Tim Dog like, before the clip ends. I laughed so hard. I laughed so
Yeah,
hard.
it's a little bit nuts. It's weird to see him sort of over there with the other guys, but that's the thing. Like he's so captured by the gaming thing that he this is sort of I don't want to say this to be harsh, but he lacks critical thinking, man. He's so taken over by his emotion for the platforms. You know, like now he's swung hard the other way. It's like
a
dude,
political thing
like,
almost in a sense, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, you don't have to be like one or the other. Like realistically, I am definitely Xbox leaning. But there's some good stuff on PlayStation. Man, I appreciate a lot of people don't like BG or Blaze 4K, but I appreciate when they call stuff out. I mean, I saw him today calling out that Concord wasn't a great game. And I'm like, that's what we need more of, man. Like, we don't need people to a lot of what happens as well within Twitter sphere is people worrying about, like, you were there in that space the other day where that dude was like, man, you're giving these ponies a lot of ammunition. Like, I don't give a fuck like about the ammunition. Like that, look, they could take and run with whatever the fuck they want to run with. Like, as far as I'm concerned, like, I am not going to dumb down my opinion, change my opinion, or not speak my opinion just in case, like, it's, you know, that's a sort of a side effect of audience capture, just in case someone decides to use it against me. That's the risk that you take for having integrity. Like, there's risks involved in everything. And that's just part of the risk of, like, being like, I'm going to be honest and true to myself before I'm honest and true to anyone else, you know, like me, family, and then friends and audience. Like, that's just the way I think you should be in your everyday life. I couldn't live with myself. And, you know, one of the examples that I posted in the topics, because every week I do a topics list, right? I'll let you guys in on a little bit of sort of the background stuff for what I do. I'll bring it up on screen. And one of the things that we do this topics list every week. And one of the things I sort of did this week was pull up an example of this guy called Nick Avocado, right? Where he basically ate himself stupid. Where he started out as a thin little vegan, and he wasn't getting much traction on YouTube, and he ended up switching over to just eating anything, and then he ended up with 8 million subs. You know, had billions of views and ate himself to death. You know, that's a type of audience capture. Like, that man would not have done that if he wasn't doing it for views. I think it's something that's really, really dangerous. And cuts both ways. Dangerous for the creator, but also it's not cool for the audience either. I don't think. Like, you know, I think it's like a horror. Would have been like a car crash to watch in the end. But also, when you've got creators out here like Xbox creators they're just telling you what you want to hear, man. You know what I mean? Like,
I do.
Here's a lot of people are going to like, I have opinions about this whole Game Pass thing, and I think most people would expect me to be overly negative about this, but I'm not, right? Because I'm not trying to be negative all the time. That is not my objective. I'm like, everything is nuanced, and I want to know, like, I think about everything from a really nuanced position, and so you'll never know. You don't know what I'm going to say. I think is a lot of the problem that I get as well, because there's another thing as well. A lot of the communities and the creativity will the communities and the create you. A lot of the creators in the community, you'll get shunned. Like, there's a lot of guys who maybe won't have me on their show because they don't know what I'm going to say, because my opinion is dynamic, man. It shifts with the nuance.
You know what else it is too? Is they form biases against you. And I think that's happened with me as well. Not that I haven't been invited. I think I've been invited to more shows than you. But in general, I think they see how you talk or whatever, right, and how you've interacted with people, and they form this ill opinion of you that you're not, I guess, to their liking or too approachable to this or that. Icon, why do you have to bring up the past, huh?
It was
Listen,
bad.
I was rusty,
It's
man.
bad.
I hadn't played years and years, all right, Icon. But no, and I said it in the chat, but congratulations to Epic who reached 20,000 subs. So shout out to
Oh yeah,
homie.
congrats. Yeah.
But yeah, man. I think like these guys get a thought of you like, yo, you're unapproachable, you're abrasive or whatever. And I look and see what you do. I know what you're doing. You know what I mean? But it's also because I know you. And so some of these guys form a silly thought and run with that instead of trying to actually get to know who you are. And that's the stupidest part to me. And then you have some who do know you, and it's like, well, cater yourself almost kind of to the discussion we're having here. Cater yourself a different way to make them feel this way. I'm not doing that. That's where me and you align, right? I am not changing who I am at my core to make somebody like me or to gain some type of audience approval. And you know what I mean? And that's where we align. Integrity does matter, and it should matter. And this is why we've had issues with those we know who have bought their way to what they have, right? But yeah, that's what it is, man. And for anyone who is listening, and if you're holding this against Riskit to say, hey, and this is not me doing this as a shout out as he's my friend, but it's really a call out to say you all are wrongheaded to jump to a conclusion of who he is based off social media. Talk to the person and see what's up and see what it is. I know that people can say some things that make you want to distance yourself from them, but I think that goes into the whole thought of brand protection too, because a lot of these guys want to protect their brand. So they're like, oh, I can't associate with this person. I have to be on the up and up of this. Right. And I think that's so stupid. I think it's so stupid, and it limits you. If I can have a good discussion with somebody who is having a real, like, if you're having a good faith discussion and this is how you truly, genuinely feel, I'm never going to be like, no, I might not agree with you. Right. But I'm not going to be like, oh, I can't have you buy me a blah, blah, blah. But if I know that I can't trust you, 50 million maybe it might change me a little bit, Bobby Hawk. Maybe I'll
I don't
be a
think it
pony.
would.
I'll be a pony at that point, I guess. Look, Bobby Hawk is going to subscribe. He's going to like buy me some subs now so I can change up like and be a pony. But no, man, I think, yeah, like if you're having a genuine discussion with people and they're genuine and they're not, I guess gaslighting or giving bad faith the arguments and things like that, I can rock with that. I can rock with it. Even if I don't agree with them, I can have a good discussion with them. And I think that's the problem. A lot of people kind of write off what your takes are and how you speak on things because I think it clashes with their brand. They want to protect their brand. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Well, there's that too, but I mean, and that's probably a lot of, especially with some of these bigger creators. Like look, you guys don't know, like what you guys in the community might know. It's like really interconnected in the background, right? So you pick a big name creator in Xbox, and we'll have discussions with them like in the background. My thing is, as well as one of the other things that sort of happens with this audience capture and this brand protection and all this sort of stuff is you get bigger creators that don't reinforce the positive, right? So recently, I don't know if people have noticed, I've really sort of stepped back from the console war stuff. Like, it's a little bit exhausting. It's not for any other reason than like, you're always going to get the really toxic comments, but when you're getting like hundreds of them a day, and I miss stuff that I want to see that my friends post because I'm getting told to go hang myself from a tree at the back or something, or I'm just a piece of shit or something like, and it doesn't, I'm pretty good on water off a duck's back, but eventually it does have an effect. Like it has an effect.
100%.
It may not be something that's, you notice, like, you think it's not having an effect, but it does deeply, eventually have an effect on you. What's up, K man? What's up? I'll do an intro in a couple seconds. But one of the things that bothers me is with the bigger creators is that a lot of them do not reinforce positive behavior. And of course, like someone said to me, like, hey, you can't just stop the console warrior stuff and 2 days later expect them to, you know, positively reinforce. But there are things that I do that are quite positive. Like people don't see that stuff. It doesn't get clicks, right? And that's fine. But I do lots of positive stuff when it comes to social media and Twitter. And there's no reinforcement of the positive, right? But anytime I'm down, there's a subset of creators who are quite happy to come on in and throw some boots in me while I'm down. They won't interact with me. They won't interact with me when it's something positive. No. But they will throw the boots in while I'm down. And I pulled someone up on that. He didn't want to listen to it about it. He told me I was whinging. But like, I don't care. This is the thing. And this is the other problem with me is I don't respect your size. I respect you as a human. And if you might be a huge creator, I don't care. If I've got a line into you and you've done something that I don't like, I may not publicly come after you, but I will come and tell you that I did not like that. And this particular individual told me I was whinging, and I'm like, you're missing the point, dude. I'm telling you what you do is you're reinforcing negative behavior, and you complain about that negative behavior all the time, yet you do not reinforce the positive behavior. And when you do reinforce the positive behavior, you're really picky about how and when you do it. And yeah, the man didn't want to listen to me, and that's fine. I made my point. I was happy that I made my point and I walked away. But it's something that we just see throughout gaming, throughout the political sphere, throughout all this stuff. It's really it helps to polarize the community. And one of the things that like I was thinking is like, all Americans, you guys are brothers, man. Like black, white, brown. If I don't know if there's purple people, but I always say purple, so purple. Like it doesn't matter. Like
people
you're all. Yeah. Your fate is all so interlinked and tied to one another. Your fate is your brother's fate. And it's the same with Australians. It's the same with everyone's country. And then same in, you know, a little bit when it comes to the Western sphere as well. Our fates are tied to each other as well. And I don't know. I don't think we act like that. And a lot of this polarization comes from, I think, audience capture or people just really pushing biases and not having nuanced opinions in everything, you know, in gaming, in political stuff. You know, there's always room for discussion, and there should always be room for you to change your opinion. And I think we're seeing more of that, and I just think it's sad sometimes when we don't see that. And I know this is a gaming podcast, but it's just this sort of relates to the gaming podcast. Something interesting I wanted to cover, man, because I wanted people to be a little bit more aware of it. And I think if you're in these gaming podcasts and you don't listen to other stuff, you may miss this. And, you know, it's important to know it's fine to watch a biased podcast. I got no issue with that. Hey, like we wear our bias on our sleeve, right? But know what you're listening to. Understand that you are listening to a biased podcast and that you have a bias. And if you understand that, that's sort of your first step to, you know, you're open to listening to other opinions without getting angry. I tell you what, I did watch Jeff Grubb's recent podcast. Boy, that man made me angry with some of the stuff he was saying. But I realized that it was my bias and I was keeping it in check, man. I didn't get in the chat and start abusing him. I was like, I don't agree with anything you just said for the last 2 hours, but it's probably my bias.
It's funny you say that because I'll go, you know, I'm in a bunch of chats, so I'll see replies from people, how they view a lot of these people, from Jeff Grubb to Tom Warren to whatever. And I just laugh a little bit because I'm like, hey, it is what it is. I'm not going to try to change anybody's mind. But I'll notice the varying degrees of, I guess, anger from people reading or listening to what they talk about. And some people would just outright cannot stand these people and be like, oh, they're liars. Oh, I'm like, I don't know if he lied. But I just keep to myself on it. I'm like, you're allowed to feel how you feel. But I think if they go too far, well, no, I don't think. If they're going too far in one direction, I'll say, hey, yo, no, I think this is this. You know, I'll just speak out and say, I think this is this. They might they've often disagreed with me or whatever and disavow what I said. But sometimes I'll do that too. But I think this type of discussion right here is great. I like having elevated conversations like this too. Kay does it all the time. Ain't that right, Kay?
Indeed, sir. Indeed. Like you are like, oh, well, this is a gaming podcast. Now, I think this is what this is all should be about. You know, the games are great, but gaming leads to tribalism. It leads to political unrest. It leads to all this other conversations. The DEI trolls are everywhere these days.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? So,
Oh yeah.
and we tend to be those of a certain age whose grays tend to show. So no need to strip away the intelligence from the conversations we have. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And I think-
Welcome to the
There you
show. I
go.
didn't know you were
There you
jumping
go.
in, man. It's great to have you on. How you been? What you been up to? What you been playing? Oh, look, definitely shout out the Gaming Circle podcast. We calling it blog. What do we call? What's the name of it?
What do we call it? The blog. It's just the Gaming Circle
blog?
blog, man. We're just kind of hanging out. There are a lot of very interesting writers on there. One Chad Dufall, who's doing really interesting work on the Gaming Circle blog. Yeah, y'all need to.
What a Chad.
I'm waiting for somebody to click on the name and find out who that is and just start like really coming after people. I'm waiting for that day. It hasn't happened yet.
Don't encourage them because they probably will for this fellow.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm waiting. But no, it's great. It's great to be here. What I've been playing, oddly enough, a bunch of indies as I tend to, but also a lot of Elden Ring.
How far have you gotten? Did they decimate you immediately or what?
It's too hard.
Actually, I'm actually I think like 3-4 bosses in now. I'm rolling around. I ditched because you can sword and board, sword and shield and all this. I ditched the shield. I got 2 crazy swords now. One is ice, one is fire. I'm walking around just murking fools left and right. I don't care no more. I'm at an ascended level, as someone likes to say. It's fun.
Yes, that's the ascended sprinkles.
Yes, the blades of ice and fire, I call them.
Yes, a song of ice and fire, like Game of Thrones.
That's right.
Nice.
That's right. So yeah, I've been playing that, and of course a bunch of indies and stuff. These days, of course, as you know, Mr. Umbra, we always take great advice from the one MJ Dark, and his game of choice these days is Bullet. What is it? Bullet Mad Jack, I think that's what it's called.
Oh yeah,
I just started it today.
Yeah,
crazy game, bro. Crazy game. It's like
I have it on my wish list.
Have you seen? You watched Street Fighter, the animated movie of the 90s.
Oh yes, love it.
That art
everyone's
style.
saying that one. Yeah.
That art style, that sensibility, right? And it's just crazy, insane. Trick bullet shots. You're running around kicking bad guys into fans. Their blood's guts everywhere. One hand, one of your controls is your foot. The other one is a shotgun, and it's just
nice.
Can you get through? And it's just style. It's just ridiculous, bro. It's really, really cool.
It sounds like that other game coming out by Devolver when you mention it.
Yes,
like
Angry Foot. Same kind of style.
Right. Yeah.
Yep.
I gotta check it out.
Of course, since these are smaller, you can play them on your little Ragoon. You know what I'm saying?
Indeed, man. I've been playing much games myself. Like the Garuda, I mentioned it earlier. Garuda 2. It feels like an old school.
Was that just me? Did I lose him?
I think we've lost him. I think he went and bought it and we lost him. But I was just looking at that.
He's back.
There you go.
Excellent.
Yeah, like an old school Shinobi-ish kind of feel to it. The Garuda 2. And a bunch of other indies too. Dave the Diver. I'm not sure if that would become
great.
Being
Dave the Diver is excellent. Yes,
it
is.
Just started.
It's indie feel because it's made by like Nexon. So
yeah. And I got a bunch of Metroidvanias too. They had a sale going on Steam, and I got a bunch of good stuff. So what was that one? Fusion Trinity. I gotta get into that one soon.
It's so good, bro. I've been playing the heck out of that game for so long. That game feels like as if the AAA developers woke up one morning and went, you know what? Let's just make this small indie thing real quick. And then you find out that the whole game was made like 2-3 people, and we lost him.
He'll be back. He'll be back. Yeah, I was
having
a look at this.
I've also been playing the First Descent.
What do you think of it? What are your thoughts on it?
I reluctantly like it. And what I mean by reluctantly, it's like you can tell its derivativeness. You can tell, okay, here's the Destiny-like story, and initially the combat is kind of a little shallow. But the more you play it, the more you want to keep playing it, and the more you want to like it. The systems upon systems upon systems, it's kind of like thin skin deep, and some of them are there just to kind of be there, right? I've heard that in the late game it takes a lot of time to actually get the characters you want, and they're basically as is a free to play game. They're pushing you to go buy stuff, right? They are, but in general, like it's worth something to say that even though my initial thought, and by the way, I played the demo before even I went to LA, and I thought, I don't like this thing, and then I came back. It came to 1.0. People are liking it, so I gave it another chance, and it hasn't been deleted off the hard drive yet. So it might be it might be onto something, you know.
Yeah,
I tried it in beta, and it was I just felt the loop, man. You know, and as soon as I feel that live service loop, I'm like, this is not it for me. But I heard that there's been some changes. So I hate that live service loop, man. I'm just playing to get loot, to play to get loot, to play to get loot.
Exactly. It is a good turn off your brain, hang out with your boys, talk on Discord or talk on that party chat thing you do while playing that game. Because when you're not really focused on the grind and you're just kind of hanging out, it is fun. It is fun. Anecdotally, though, every time I log into that game, and it's really got good, interesting ways of grouping up with people, randos, and you can still really have a good time. Every time I log into that game, I'm playing with Xbox people, even if I'm on Steam. Like, it's always Xbox people. Every once in a while, I see a PlayStation logo because you can crossplay, but it's like really big on Xbox seemingly because every character I come across is an Xbox character that's running around. Interesting. Might be doing good numbers there.
Yeah, well, I mean, Xbox is traditionally the shooter box, right? And more multiplayer focused. Maybe that's showing itself up in the Descendant. Look, we'll jump into the topic that's the topic of the week sort of thing. I just wanted to go through that, I guess, audience capture, like what happens in the community sort of thing. But before I do, please hit the like button, share us out. We go live at 8 p.m. EST every Friday. Very interesting, the start of this week. And I guess my take is a bit different to what's been expected. A lot of people weren't happy about this. And I saw some people where I was like, man, I fully expected you to just big up this as a positive. Or someone who I'm like, I fully expect you to big up, to downplay this as a negative. It's a really nuanced takes around this, so I appreciate that. So Xbox Game Pass has had some changes. There's a tier been removed, a new tier added. Xbox Game Pass will remain. That sits at $9.99 a month. There's an annual billing increase from $59.99 to $74.99. Don't quite understand why that is and why that's not available. The yearly subscription is not available for all tiers. However, Game Pass Ultimate, it gets a price increase, right? So it's going up $3 to $19.99. Game Pass Console will no longer exist unless you own it. You've been grandfathered in and you play that. Very interesting thing with Game Pass for console, which I did not know because I've always been Ultimate, and it only came up when my brother had to spend some time over at my place, and I wanted to get him the cheaper tier. Game Pass Console did not include multiplayer. So you had your day ones, you had all the perks, you had almost everything that Ultimate had, but to play multiplayer online with console, you had to go and get gold, and then later on core. So you ended up paying for $20 a month for console and core, or you went with Ultimate, which was $17. So it was a no-brainer. I thought that was a little bit egregious, and that's changed in the new standard tier, and something else that's changed in the new standard tier as well. So the new standard tier is priced in at around about $15 a month. It does not include day one games. Okay, so that's probably the most contentious thing. The other most contentious thing is the stacking limit's been changed from 36 months. It was apparently 36 months now, which is about 3 years. Now it's only up to 13 months. And that was it starts in September the 12th. So you still have time to go and stack up to 3 years. So I guess for me,
I will add a caveat to that, just so you're clear. The stacking limit is only for console.
Not for PC. Right? I mean,
not for any of the other tiers. Just that console tier. The one they're seemingly trying to get rid of, they don't want you to extend.
Oh,
And
so for Ultimate, you can continue doing it
You
for 36.
continue stacking to the hard code
Okay.
to your content. The standard tier, all the others, the console tier, that specific one, that one is now 13 months only.
Got you. Okay. See, that was one of my biggest points of contention was like, I don't like that they changed. Like, why did you do that? You know, I'll let you get to it. I'll say my thoughts in a while.
Go ahead, Riskit. Yeah, please.
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess there's a lot to unpack. Another reminder that Xbox hates its console users from Lucius Augustus. Yeah, look, it does. It is. You could take this as a bit of a kick in the balls, right? Absolutely. You could. For me, I guess my thoughts on this one is, excuse me, well, first of all, it's a little bit egregious that PC Game Pass, you know, they're not paying for multiplayer, right? So that's sort of something that's just there. You can't charge PC players for multiplayer, but they're only paying $10.99 a month. They get absolutely everything that Ultimate gets on their PC. You know, obviously there's games that release on PC that don't release on console. We know this, and vice versa. So, which I would like to see more parity in games as well. So it's seemingly they're charging us for playing online within the Ultimate, subscription, and within the standard subscription. But console players just seem to lose something regardless, right? We're either losing our day one games if you go for standard, or you're losing more money if you go for the Ultimate, right? So I can understand the negatives around this, however. And Fonzarelli Gaming, shout out to you, bro. He really hates it when I do this, but I do think of it from a consumer standpoint, but I also think of it from a business standpoint. And thinking ahead, I think we've said it a few times in that this was expected. I expected them to raise their price. I think the value of what's coming, not what's there, the value of what's coming meets what the prices are and what the tiers are at this moment. It makes sense to me to do it now. I think it would have been a smarter move for them to drop some Activision Blizzard legacy games in and do this. That gives you a W and an L at the same time. They didn't do that. But we're leading down the track. We're leading towards that COD release. And you want to make sure that everyone understands where they stand before we get to that COD release, because I think they're expecting those subs to jump. I think we all are. There's got to be more money in it for them. It just makes sense to do it now. Not when they're releasing COD, you know, so you get that kick in the teeth as you get a huge W. No one wants that as bad marketing. So I think it's smart in the timing. The thing where I think they've fallen down as a business is, again, what we needed was a simplification of the tier system. And the tier system is just complicated. I was watching IGN's Game Scoop, which those guys are, I don't know how they're working on. Anyway, whatever. But those guys didn't understand the tier system. And I get it. Like, it's difficult to understand. Kay just told me something I didn't know about the tier system, right? So, like, and I've been following this thing and looking at it and dissecting it, and I missed that because there's so much to it. It's so complicated that, like, how do you expect grandma to roll into or jump online, or mum and dad to jump online and go, I don't know, which one am I gonna get here? And then they get the wrong one and they're like, oh, now I've got to upgrade because it doesn't have
Way
this.
to go, grandma. I tried,
Billy. And the kids in the background going, Mom, you got the wrong one. Like,
I tried. Like, my first time using this Instagram.
It's just,
that's not where you go to buy it.
It's super complicated. It's just a super complicated, like, tiering system, and I think they need to really tidy it up, sort out their messaging, get that right, get your messaging right, drop a tier, get rid of standard, right? If you get rid of standard, you've now lost that narrative that, hey, they took day one games away from you.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because at the moment there's a narrative where they're like, they promised us this, and now they're giving us a tier without this. I mean, they didn't break their promise. You can still go to Ultimate. It's still Game Pass, whatever. But it removes that discussion. Just drop that Game Pass standard tier. Give us everything in Ultimate. And have a separate PC one, whatever, for the PCMRs, man, honestly. Those guys.
How's the horse for the PC still? I'm trying to figure that one out.
I mean, it just suits, right?
Is
I think
the
they're very
pony
similar.
to PC pipeline? Is that what it is?
They're just very similar. Like, well, look, every PlayStation guy seems to have a 5090. Like every time I talk about Xbox games, it's like 5090, man. I'll play it on my PC. I'm like, all right.
Okay, why are you shaking your head, man? He disapproves. But no, like that was one of the points I was going to touch on, is that they should just get rid of the core. Get rid of that. We've had this discussion on here before. When they changed the tiers, last year, whatever it was, we had this. I had it on my podcast as well. It's like it's not. It wasn't as confusing then, but if you don't remember, I complained. Yes, Gray, I see it. He says Pony PC. So one of my complaints was them continuously taking things away from us. In Ultimate, like you pointed out, yeah, we're getting these things, which is good. I'm not saying that what we're getting for Ultimate isn't worthy of this. It is. This is worthy, but they've taken things away. We don't get like games with gold anymore. So should I be like, hey? No, I'm not celebrating this. I'm still content, but some of this is not cool. They've taken that away and they've increased price. So we've lost value in a way. You know what I mean? And what about for those of us who don't play COD? What about, you know what I mean? So that's part of the issue too for me. But go ahead on. I want to get Kay's thoughts on this, Risk.
Who doesn't play COD? I mean, if you don't play COD, I believe that's more of a skill. It's a skill issue thing.
I don't play COD.
See, me and Kay don't really play it like that. Yeah,
I'm getting ganged
up. I'll play the campaign.
Campaign only, really. Yeah,
right? even that, because I've always advocated separate the campaign from the multiplayer, and don't charge me full price for the thing that I will only use the 8 hours of and be done with. So, like when I heard that ABK was on the purchasing block, I'm like, okay, well, I'll wait and then catch up. So I haven't actually played all of that campaigns. I think the last one I played had Jon Snow in it. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I've purchased ones or twos, but I've never actually finished to finish playing them. I don't necessarily play COD. Now, I will argue, I don't think that this increase is directly correlated to COD being in the service. If you look at the show, right? Yes, COD was a big factor, but it wasn't the only factor. What had people crying grown man tears wasn't COD, right? They're finally getting into a cadence where they can actually expect more. They can expect more for their product, right? Even before any of the Call of Duty stuff jumps in. Yes, Call of Duty is the big game. It's going to continue to be the big game. It's all good. But even without COD, imagine removing COD from that equation. That show was excellent without it. And that justified them increasing the price real quick. So there's that. Now, my interest in this and my level of quote unquote smoke that I will give them is, to your point, to the points you guys have already made. I don't think that they did themselves any favor by diluting the offerings too much, right? As you've said, Umbra, anytime you take something away in order to justify price changes, we're having a problem, right? Yep. They should add value and change pricing, not take value away and change pricing. There is conversations in the background that they did recognize that not everybody's us, right? Not everybody's ultimate tier. There are a lot of ultimate tiers, sure, but not everybody's that way. Some people got jobs, some people got lives, some people don't play these games day one, and because of that, they want to save money. Like I just said, I don't play multiplayer COD that much, so I don't want to pay the $70 a pop every time a new one comes out. Same people take that sentiment and apply it to the subscription service. So for them, a lower tier with less options would be advantageous because now they don't have to worry about it, right? I get all that. So while I am on the side of the consumer who says that maybe you should simplify it a bit, I do also understand from the business perspective why they would want to diversify those offerings a bit in order to capture all of those. Here's my issue though. So today, and I'm doing a video on it. Today I got the Fire Stick in, right? And I have many devices that I can stream on, but the Fire Stick is officially one of the cheapest ways of jumping in officially. So I thought I'd give it a shot. And I did give it a shot, and TLDR, it's pretty great, right? It's not the best of the best of the best, obviously, but it's pretty great. My issue is if I am this person who goes, hey, now I heard Game Pass is awesome. It's now on the Fire Stick. Here's my way of getting in. Maybe I have an old controller lying around because they did great by letting you use any controller you want, right? You pick up a controller, you jump in, you want to do this. First off, there is no free introductory tier, and that's a problem to them. Maybe they'll fix that soon enough. But there is no tier for a person who just jumps in with a device like that, right? In order to partake of that device, you got to go ultimate. Like, if you're a person who primarily games on the Fire Stick, you're not an ultimate gamer. You're not one of those people who will pay $20 a month.
True.
Right? So maybe carve out a tier just for cloud gaming, something small, something simple. You want to take away day one games? Who cares? Give me a library that you can then say, hey, for you Fire Stick owners who are now joining us, maybe it's $5.99, maybe it's $6.99, something simple, only accessible to the cloud, and there you go. Like, it feels to me like a lot of these decisions that they made they didn't think it through. Like, they didn't step through it and go, I'm a consumer, what do I do? Right? When we found out that they had gotten rid of their set-top box, and then a week later we found out that, hey, they're making a great partnership with Amazon. 1 + 1 = 2 there. Why the hell do you roll your own R&D when you could just leverage these guys who have a huge entrenched fan base, and their thing is cheap enough that they can drop it to $34, right? That's how much it costs to get a max right now, $34, and you're in there. So that was a good, interesting, intelligent move. Now my question is, where's the tier for them? Because they're definitely not the hardcore. They're the dip your toe folks, right? They're the, hey, this might become one of the way my kids game if I don't have a console folks. You're not expecting them to pay $20 a month. That is a little nuts, right? So there's some tuning that still needs to be done there, right? There's definitely tuning that needs to be done there. Now, the other tier that I have a little smoke with, like you say, Riskit, all the standard versus this versus that. I will come here to mea culpa for a moment, okay? Because myself and Infinite Umbra, we go back and forth. He is now on my ascended page. Now him and his ascended 4070 or whatever he's got. I am the master of
4080 super. I just want to make sure.
Okay, well, mine is a 4090 and it's liquid.
Yes. I bow to your greatness, sir. Yes.
But needless to say, he and I used to go back and forth pretty frequently because he'd go, why you got to keep treating console players like second-class citizens? And then I'd have to be the well-actually guy, and I go, well, actually, it's because of technical limitation, or it's because of this or that. And there's usually a very good, interesting explanation as to why the console player maybe gets less or doesn't get the game right at the same time or whatever. This right here with the whole limiting of the console tier, with the whole only 13 months, it is a bad look, bro. It's a bad. I don't play there, as y'all can definitely attest. I got no dog in the fight, but I do stand with my console brethren in saying it's a bad look. Like, what the hell, man? Why must you guys keep giving them the narrative to continue going? See, they don't care about us anymore. It's unfortunate. It really is, right? And you know why? Because they're trying to get rid of that tier. So I
love it when someone who doesn't have a dog in the fight says unfortunate. It's unfortunate.
No, but it sucks. It sucks. It really does. No, it sucks. Now, I will finish my TED talk by putting a link in the chat, and I use this service for some time. I will now advertise that everybody uses this service. I got the 3-month one, but it looks like everyone caught wind of the 3-month one, so now that one's harder to find. This is the 6-month one, but if you divide it in two, it's exactly the same price, which is $28.70. And then for $57.70 USD, but it does translate to other currencies, you get 6-month Game Pass. Buy that twice, that's a year. I've stacked up to like 2027. I'm in somewhere June, somewhere like that. Nice. Like the funny thing about all this is we're talking the back and forth. I have not been able to tell you what the real price of Game Pass is since it came out, because this is how I buy it all the time. Mm-hmm. I have never paid full price for Game Pass. Don't do that yourself. Go through these services, stack it up, and you have nothing to worry about. I'm done.
Yeah, look, I want
to touch on one specific point. When you were talking about how how they should have a specific like curated list for those who are playing strictly the cloud and stuff like that, or playing off streaming from the devices. 100% agree, but they kind of had that with the previous tier. The core previously was curated for like what 25 games was it, and they would rotate them out.
Was that also on cloud?
I'm not sure if it was on cloud.
This is the thing, right? It's always wishy-washy with their weird, and you have this like out of nowhere $35 and you're in the gaming sphere. You're there. You have this potential great option for people who really have no base. Like you're a PlayStation dude. You've loved your PlayStation. You think it's great. You may not want to pay $200 to get the Series S. Now you can pay $34 and you are in there. And then you got to pay Game Pass for $20. Like that's nuts, man. Yeah, that's not thinking straight. You should have a lower tier for those individuals, right? And then for someone like me, right? Someone like me, screw that. Beyond Ultimate, get me a tier that gets me Ultimate, that gets me Ubisoft Plus, that gets me EA Play Plus, that gets me everything under the sun. Charge me like $40 a month. I will shut up. I will pay it. I'll be done. Like these are the things we want.
Yeah. I look, and I've been saying just on that as well. I've got a couple of things that you said there that I wanted to just go back to, but on that, I've been saying, and not just with gaming subscriptions, we need to see some, and I think we're seeing this with Prime. You know, Prime does this well, where you can get subscriptions. You know, it's an Inception inscription. It's a subscription within a subscription, and I think we need to see, you know, if we're not going to see consolidation in the way of purchases or mergers and acquisitions, I would like to see more of this consolidation within, you know, like you said, give me a $40 tier, get, you know, play Ubisoft Plus, EA Play, Game Pass, PlayStation Plus. Just kidding. Like,
hey,
all that stuff.
Minecraft is
on PC
service that my kids are always hunting me down because they want to be a part of that. Roll it all into one. I'll find that valuable. I will pay for that, right?
Risk. You know, could you make that a poll? I think what Kay said was poll worthy when he said that essentially Xbox Ultimate with EA Plus, EA Play Plus,
EA Play Plus.
Because I get mixed up with theirs because we get EA Play already, but we don't get the Plus. And then Ubisoft Plus. Would you pay $40 for that a month? I think that'll be a good question for the chat.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll drop that in 2 seconds. I just I'll get on to give you 2 seconds. But a couple other things I wanted to cover there as well. So is when you were talking about your Fire Stick Cloud tier. I agree with Umbra on that. Like, it doesn't have that it doesn't have the multiplayer it doesn't have the cloud in the core. Add the cloud. You know, make it $10 a month. Have a curated list of first-party games. Get these people hooked, man. Like, get them hooked on Gears, on, you know, like Halo. Get them hooked on Forza, and that's how you get them into the ecosystem. Oh, there's a new Forza coming out, and you can only play it day one on the Fire Stick. You know, with this tier. Cool. I'll upgrade to this tier for a couple of months. They make a little bit of extra money for a couple of months. So I think that's a smart idea. Like, you need to be hitting that lower and that upper. And I understand the standard tier based on that, but I think it's just a little too confusing of what you do and don't get. I think remove multiplayer, like just remove that from the equation. Like, stop talking about that, because I think now every tier has access to multiplayer. Core, standard, ultimate, PC. Obviously PC already has it, but that's now not a thing, right? Which I think is a smart move. Like, this shouldn't be in the conversation now. If they can keep sort of move to a new tier system, or which they probably will, expect it. Like, you wait till the middle of next year, we'll have a new Game Pass offering and it will be tweaked. I can almost guarantee it. But within that, the conversation of multiplayer shouldn't be there. I think you should just have multiplayer available on the system. That's it. You know, any free-to-play game, any game you want to play online, you should just be able to remove that from that conversation.
Yep.
All of your subscriptions are paying for it now. So, you know, if they're not subscribing for what's there now, they're not going to just subscribe for a multiplayer tier. So that's
It's
definitely
like-
a thing.
It's like continuing to sell a TV and promoting the remote as part of the TV. It comes with it. Just keep it in mind. Like at this
Right.
point, it's not even. You know what I mean? Like
Or it's like
it used to be a
Nintendo.
selling point.
Like Nintendo when they sell you something, but you also got to go buy this other I guess audio cord or whatever. What is that they don't include in it? Apple does that too sometimes, where they'll give you a product, but you don't get the battery charger or something like that.
It's not a
Nonsense
selling
like
point.
that.
It's a minimum requirement, especially considering that you're a console where most people love the online multiplayer aspect of it. There should be no tier or any reason to not be able to play that. Because let's be real, you can say screw that. I don't want to pay any of that. I don't even want to pay any of your subscription services. And guess what? You can still play one of the greatest multiplayer games to date for free, and that's Fortnite. They let you play that thing without any cost, without any subscription. You don't even have to have an Xbox account. Well, no, I think you may have to have an Xbox account. But you can play that without any sub, without any pricing or anything like that. Let it go, right? We are post multiplayer game pricing now,
Yeah. And so what is Xbox losing if they remove that from the offering as a thing, right? That's just not a thing. Like bring that across the all the tiers. Another question I think that needs to be asked, and I don't know if it has been, I haven't heard many people talk about this on the standard tier. Okay, so if we're not getting day one in the standard tier, when do we get those games? Like, was there some comms? Because I couldn't find any comms on the length of time. And so I think you need to be transparent on that. And I understand business-wise in the back end, they're going to be like, well, we could say, you get it in 6 months, but we release Gears, and Gears is still selling like hotcakes, right? We're still getting subs. Or we release COD. COD's still selling. We're still getting subs. Like, we don't want to make that thing, we don't want to put this in the standard tier for 12 months. But another game, say like Hellblade, we're happy to put that in within 3 months.
Makes sense.
So I understand that. Like, I get that from a business perspective, but from a consumer's perspective, I want to know what I'm getting, right? What's does this tier give me? So give me some sort of, frame, right?
Look, you say you want to know what you're getting. I'll tell you what you're getting. You getting it day and date if you have Ultimate. Otherwise, you get what you get and you don't get upset, right?
He said, in other words, kick rocks is basically. But you know what? That's the thing. I think is obvious, right? And it was obvious before. We talked about this again. I said it then and I say it now. It's very clear now. All of this is doing is just saying, hey, you might want to move over to Ultimate. You're getting a little taste here in Core. You're getting that little taste. You might want to move up to Ultimate. That's where the real games are at. That's what they're telling you. So, like you said it earlier when we first introduced the topic, Risk, they may as well just get rid of Core. Just get rid of it. Just give us Ultimate and give PC Game Pass and be done with it. Because that's what it's come down to. Because I think they said something like 80% are in Ultimate anyway. Most of us are on Ultimate. So what's the use of having Core? Get rid of it. And only way I can see a difference is to Kay's point is if they have a curated streaming list that for streaming devices. That's the only other option I would see where they give you just a taste and you don't get first party day and date. And I also like that idea you put out, Risk, where maybe certain games where not multiplayer, maybe not multiplayer focused and aren't on the higher spectrum of must play type of games. Maybe in 3 months or 6 months, they can come over to the lower tier. Maybe something like that, right? Or to the streaming service in this case. But Core, I think just it's obvious to me that it doesn't need to be there. And I'm pretty sure the next revision they have to Game Pass is going to get rid of that eventually. It's probably going to be Ultimate. Oh, here's the one, like Kay said, so like Supreme tier. It has everything. So they might be watching us right now like, that Kay Asante is on or something.
Writing some notes down.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, our poll disagrees with me. Only 22% say they should, but this is for me specifically, right? It wouldn't be for the normals.
that's right. So you're getting, but like let that say 22% of the audience, right? Expand that out, and let's say it ends up being 15%. That's 15% of people that are still going to subscribe to that tier. Like that's and at what cost? Because Ubisoft have a really good, And again, I maintain the whole cloud thing with Ubisoft where they had that deal. Ubisoft have a really good relationship, and their fate is now tied to Xbox's success, which was clever of Xbox to do. And so I think that they could definitely have that conversation, like, pretty easily and make that happen. But Jax82 with the $5 super chat, shout out to you, Jax. Really appreciate that, mate. He says they should make a Game Pass bronze, gold, or platinum tier, and the platinum tier gets early access to games before releases like Fable or Doom. And Mash, shout out to you as well, man. Mash gifted out 10 memberships. Really appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you very much, Mash. Make sure you shout out Mash and thank him in the chat if you're a recipient of one of those memberships. I really appreciate it. I'm trying to get more content out, guys. Got a lot going on in my life at the moment. I might talk a little bit about that later. But you bring up a good point there, Jackson. I don't 110% agree with all of that, but it raises a really good question. What are we now doing with early access? Because I've always been the camp of, look, this is not an egregious thing that they're doing. It's not like, oh, they're doing early access, but it is anti-consumer. Like, I don't like it. You've given me a tier where I'm getting your games day one. You're then shifting that day one back 3 to 4 days, and then you're telling me you can access this.
You're
attacking my
day
FOMO.
zero. There's day zero.
You're attacking my FOMO, and you're saying you can play it now, and here's some extra perks if you pay full price for the game. I'm a subscriber of Ultimate, and I want to play it when everyone else is playing it. And when it's a multiplayer game, like when they did it with Forza, I was like, man, everyone's getting the jump on me. I don't like this. Like, it doesn't feel good. And I pay for your premium tier, and it doesn't feel, when you do that to me, it doesn't feel premium to me. It's like, it feels like I'm missing out on something. And then why am I paying for the service? Like, I may as well then just go buy the damn game every time one comes out, right? Which I do a lot. A lot of people say Xbox don't buy games, but
or you might want to wait. It seems like waiting to get the game might be the thing nowadays. It seems like when we get the game, it's not even the full release. It's like we may as well wait some months until we get the final revision.
Exactly. And then if I'm waiting for those 3 to 4 days, what's another 6 months? What if I've got stuff?
That's a crazy jump, but yeah. Well, days, months, but yeah, I get your point.
Like, but like, what's 3 days? What's another 6 months? You know what I mean? Like, realistically, if I'm already playing stuff, then what's another 6 months? Then I'm down to standard, right? You know, and look, for me, every single one of those games, I did that graphic a little while ago. Every single one of those games is like, damn. I'd like that as banger after banger after banger. And if they're hitting quarterly, like, I want to be subscribed to Game Pass and then to pick up those third-party games, you know, coming through as well. Like Flintlock, I'm looking forward to. So, like, man, they've got some very confusing messaging for those who aren't in the space, and for us in the space, we clearly have some problems with the way you're doing stuff. I don't know, man. Look, I think Holly might pop through later on, Sith, so stick around. Sith Lord with the $2 super chat, he says, hi gentlemen, have a good weekend, miss you, Holly. She may be in depending on what's going on. She's just out having a lovely dinner with a lovely gentleman. I just made that up. I don't know what she's doing, but she's doing stuff.
She's having a very nice meal.
Now we got to ask her about her date when she gets back.
Oh, yeah. We got to make sure to hound her and then put the camera square on her as you do, Risk. You know, but I was going to say this discussion actually kind of opens up another thought, though, because it's a lot of contention around it. I think some people are trying to hold their tongue, and some people are kind of just being real about it and saying, hey, yo, I'm not trying to pay that. Like, already is crazy enough. And, you know, looking at the realities we have of everything costing so much, and, you know what I mean, and trying to be and Game Pass in general was appealing to us and most people, I would say, not us necessarily, because Kay wants the 40 tier with everything, the premium platinum, but to us normies, and they're not in the K echelon. A lot of us
look. Every other month or so, I wait for Ubisoft to give me reason to resubscribe to their thing.
Yeah,
and now Star Wars is coming out, so I'm going to resubscribe.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. Then
I step back. Right, if you give me the ultimate tier that has it all, now you get my money every month.
But hey, there you go. But my thinking is, my thinking on that is it opens up another discussion, and I hate to have it, but we keep hearing this stupid thought. I'm not gonna call it stupid because it starts to kind of jive with reality now. Where they ask, is Game Pass sustainable? What are you guys' thoughts about that? Because now, of course, we have this ever evolving service here. It is a pony narrative, yes. It is indeed a hooved narrative, a hooved highlight, if you will. But it's something that they keep putting out there, and who I mentioned earlier, Sacred Symbols, actually talked about it again, of course, and tried to see. I told you, we got a lot of those types, right? Jump out there, see. Although this didn't prove anything, because the entire nature of subscription service is that they're going to keep trying to hook you up for more money.
Like, is Netflix sustainable? How many times have they increased their pricing over the years?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? Just because they want more money from you doesn't mean that the flywheel isn't working today.
True.
Right? It's because you can pay.
Yeah.
They want you to pay. And
more.
Let's be absolutely clear here. They started with peanuts on the dollar and then kept adding value and value and value. Every tier, every industry sees this. Unlike ever before, the PlayStation Plus increased in price. So did the Xbox. So did the PSV, the Quest, right? And I would argue, even after it released, after 6 months or whatever, after everything they've added to it, that Quest deserved to be charged more, because hey, what was on the sticker was far less than what they give you today. It's not just because they're asking you for more money. That question of is it sustainable? That is indeed a hooved narrative, because that 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2 there, right? Yeah, we could get away with charging you 10, but we could also get away with charging you 20.
Yeah,
true. And then we get 20. So,
so why wouldn't we go for 20?
Exactly.
But I will say this too, in that defense of that, I think a lot of our Hoove brothers, this is the problem. We had this talk a minute ago, me and Risk, we were talking about just being straightforward and people with agendas and those who have genuine takes and are arguing in good faith. A lot of our Hoove brothers don't argue in good faith. A lot of them are only arguing negative because it's Xbox and because, and I'm not trying to be funny here, but PSN sucks compared to Game Pass. Let's just be clear. PS Plus, I've had it for a second. Actually, because I had it during the Helldivers and I forgot and got charged again. I got really upset. I was like, I forgot to cancel that because I wasn't playing Helldivers anymore, right? And then shout out to Helldivers. I did love it. No shade to it, but that's the only reason I had PS Plus. Literally, did not need it otherwise. It offered me nothing I needed or wanted. Game Pass on the other end is like, the light at the end of the tunnel. So comparatively, and so when I see them trying to do this and compare these things, I think they look at it, for one, from a skewed version of what they get and how much they're charged for essentially nothing compared to what we get on Xbox with Game Pass. It's night and day. Yep. So at the same time, where I know they're charging us more because they can and get away with it, I also do believe, and thought it before it happened, we said this on here, and I said it on other shows, they would be charging us more eventually. It was obvious. They got ABK, they got to recoup that money too, right? So they're going to recoup it in the quickest way possible.
Let me ask you a little bit of a Molotov cocktail type of question here. And I've been thinking about this for a little bit. I've been thinking about it. I will ask your thoughts, Riskit. I'll ask your thoughts, Umbra, because I feel like there may be a factor in the equation here, right? So recently, I saw people online talking about, and I think it was Ryan the Cafe. I like Ryan. I got a chance to meet Ryan. I'm in the school of thought of attack the subject, not the people. Decent human being. Had a chance to have a really good conversation with the man, but he recently came out and asked, "Hey, the PS5 Pro, will GTA 6 be the reason why you buy it? If there was no other place else to play it, next gen wise, do you buy a PS5 Pro, or do you wait for it to come to PC a year later eventually, or whatever?" And most people are weighing in, and I said no, because to me that's artificial exclusivity. And besides, after a year, it'll still look better on my PC anyway. That was my thoughts. But it brought up very interesting thoughts to me, right? Like you're describing here, we've always been like, hey, man, they're going to increase prices anyway. It just is what it is. We see the value and all of that. These guys are listening. They are really, really listening, right? I kind of feel like there's some eventualities that happen because they actually listen to what you say. Is GTA 6, and this is all part of the conversation we're having here, is GTA 6 the bringing forth of the $80 game because they are listening? I guess Riskit, I'll go to you with that. Because they keep listening to us. They have listened day one when everybody was like, "Oh, Game Pass is the reason it's so valuable." It became a meme online. It was trending, right? And now they're charging you more because you said I'd pay this much for it.
This is crazy. Almost as crazy as paying to $9.99 for Game Pass. Yeah.
Exactly, right? Yeah. It became a meme. So now my question is, because people are like, "Oh yeah, you know, GTA 6 is the only one that's going to use the next gen hardware and blah 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 blah." $80 games. Do we see it happening?
I think, yeah. You heard Capcom CEO talk about it. Like that company's already looking at $80 games, and if they're looking at it, I can guarantee you the whole industry is talking behind the scenes. It's definitely going to happen. Umbra is going to be priced out of the hobby. But you know, and this is sort of goes to something that when we're talking about Game Pass and you know. This is the thing with these CEOs that talk a lot, that say a lot. There's always a way to refute something that they've said because they've said so much that was relevant at the time, maybe not so relevant now. Something that Phil said that I latched onto was we either figure out how to get more money out of the gamers that we have, but we don't want to do that. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to bring more gamers in, right, to our ecosystem. And it seems like, is that working? Because what you've now done is you've figured out a way to get more money out of the gamers that you have. Like, does that mean that you're not getting the people into the ecosystem, right?
I'd argue they're doing both, right? They're doing both, right?
Well, I mean, why did he say that they didn't what they want? He made it in that comment like it was a one or the other thing. We're either getting in enough gamers or we're charging our gamers more. And you know, business wise, obviously, you're going to do both.
He's not the king of gaming at Xbox. He's the CEO. And sometimes they go, "Come on, homie. Yeah, I understand you love these gamers, but they got money. Let's go."
Yeah.
Charge them more, sir.
But then where's Satya with the let's talk to like Phil about cutting Sony's lunch, right? Because he's been really vocal about like, we don't want to cut Sony's lunch. We don't want to take gamers away from that ecosystem. Well, is it, you know, and our audience won't like this, but like, is it that they don't want to, or is it that they can't, or they're struggling to do so, and that's why they have this view? I mean, when you can't do, like, I think we should all stop eating seafood, right, to save the world's ocean, but I'm allergic to seafood, right? So I got a dog in the fight, right? I lose nothing, you know. And I feel like if Phil Spencer's saying like, we don't want to take Sony's players and bring them over to Xbox, I feel like, is he just saying that because he's not been able to do it? You know,
so hold on. My pushback real quick on that is, you know, if it wasn't for Microsoft, Apple would be dead, right? At some point, Apple was on their knees and they took a loan from Apple in order they took a loan from Microsoft in order to continue to stay alive. They have been kings of always propping someone up so they can be behind them. The minute they get rid of their direct competitor, now all eyes are on them, and they don't like that move. They like competition. They like turning competitors into partners. They don't want to get rid of Sony because Sony is useful for them.
Oh yeah, look, I 110% agree with that, but like, you still want to pull over. Look, if you can't, and this is the thing, and this is what they're doing, and you can 110% see it. Like, you can see what they're doing if you're smart as a business. Like, they can't, they're not able to pull those gamers over to their ecosystem, so they're monetizing the gamers that they have over there. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, when we talk about like the 4 games, like, you know, the Minecrafts, the having the biggest, like, that's what you would do. They're now in your ecosystem.
Wasn't that like multiple months in a row now that the #1 game on their platform is an Xbox game? Like multiple Xbox games? It's like, why are we competing on, why is that side enemy territory when we can own all the ground? What the hell? Like,
that's typically our narratives here in the gaming, right? Not theirs.
this is exactly what I was about to say, Umbra. Exactly, right? Our definition of success is beat them, make them look goofy or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Their narrative is, where are we getting all the ching from? We're getting all the ching from everywhere it exists. That's what they could totally rule. They own that platform. They own this platform. You want to be on a streaming stick, they own that platform as well. That is their definition of success. How much money is coming in? They don't want that ecosystem to die. They want to own that ecosystem with their content. Because remember, the lead here is not selling you the box. It's the content they sell on that box. And if they don't have to make you a box and still sell you all the games and they're number one, they are winning. You don't think they're winning, but in their wallet, they're winning. That's what they want.
That's funny enough, too, because you often hear that, Xbox is in third place. Yeah, I'll be in third place, too, if I can make billions a quarter. That's not even a real argument
on other
anymore.
people's ecosystems.
I'm making billions a quarter. That argument from fanboys is always so dumb to me. It's like, they're in third place making billions. It's not like they're making a few $1,000s a quarter or something. Yeah. They're doing very well. But just to answer your question, though, Riskit was kind of right. It priced me out of gaming. Not that it would, because clearly I can wait. I can just wait. And, now that I've gone to the enlightened route and the PC, I feel like waiting is part of that. Sprinkle me. Yes. I feel like sprinkle me. What a horse deal. We need to listen, Elemental Hero, he said that we need like a site, like a Terminator sound, and Gray said we need like a Cylon.
Do you know what we need? I saw his comment and I was been thinking about it a little bit. And what we need is, because the way that PCMR guys are, and you don't want to be, you will deny this. You deny how you are. This is, it's not a PlayStation, guys. That's why it's real similar. But what we need is RoboCop's Dead or Alive. You're coming with me. Because all PCMR guys they just want you over there. They're like, we don't want you console gremlins up. Come over here, man. Have a look at what we got here. I got some good stuff, man. There's some good games.
You know what it is. Let me speak for my PCMR, and I hate that connotation, by the way, for the record. Let me speak to that brethren for a moment. I really hate that. But honestly, right? And I've seen it happen with my boy Everborn Saga. I've seen it happen now with John Wolf. I've seen it happen now with Infinite Umbra. Remember that meme where people are sitting by and watching the two monkeys fight, and the PC guys are just sitting there watching?
Yeah.
Like, each and every one of them have gone from, I'm in the trenches, this is not right, to this, and now it's like, right? Look,
that's true.
Look, honestly, if you're not a podcaster, right? If you're not a person who's sitting there literally having to talk about what's out there and all the various games, it's hard to keep up with gaming when you specifically game on PC. It is too much. It's like drinking from a fire hose, right? So if you are on, because every platform basically comes there, like it all is. Look,
I know some ladies that can drink from a fire hose, but
I call her Fire Hose Mary there in Australia.
But you know what I mean? Like, so when that happens, then the conversation of what you were describing a few minutes ago, Riskit, becomes really apt, which is like, why not wait 3 months? Why not wait 6 months? That's how I am. Mm-hmm. Right. I am lucky. I have a PS5. I have an Xbox, so I can play in all those waters. But if I was only PC, like if you check my Steam, like there's an app you can use that calculates all your time played, like how to beat every game. It'll take 2 lifetimes to beat the games I have, and they're all peanuts on the dollar. Stop it, seriously, because they are cheap. They are cheap as hell. You can get a whole entire franchise for under $10.
So
right?
true.
All of the Fallouts for under $10. Like I
have them all, by the way.
Like exactly, right? So people's libraries grow to 500-600 games strong overnight because it's cheap as hell out there. And on PC, on the console, they'll charge you $30. Oh, that's a discount, $30. If not the $70 complete, right?
You hit it right on the head.
Why that is the reason why I risk it. You'll see your buddies come to you and go, bro, you got to come on this side. It's not to indoctrinate you. It's to let you realize that once you get to this level of it, then all these fights become like popcorn, you know.
If you remember, I don't know if you remember, Risk, but I said it before where I had this kind of epiphany, if you will.
Oh boy, here we go. It's gonna turn into that kind of show, huh?
I had this kind of epiphany. I'm dead serious. Where before I was so much more entrenched. Not that I was like gung ho console warrior before, but I was very biased to Xbox. I still am biased to Xbox, right? But I was very much more so than I'd probably be more willing to get into the trenches a bit. And I had the thought of, Xbox. Well, we gotta, I gotta talk up for Xbox here. Since I've got this computer. And I have been building up my Steam library. And like Kay said, you get all of these games at super cheap prices. You might pay a lot up front to get this PC, but you're going to win in the back end when it comes to the software because it's so cheap.
On the what?
On the software.
I always win on the back end.
On the back end. Yes.
I am so sorry.
But at the end of the day, like you get so many more deals and options at PC. It's like Android. It's the Android of gaming, if you will. Whereas consoles would be the more restrictive Apple, I suppose, in this case. But that aside, just going back to the conversation of
he just took a shot at consoles and Apple. both things I love. I don't feel like that was accidental.
Two headshots at the same time. But to the $80 conversation, if they can charge us more, they absolutely will. And I've heard that talk from what's his name? Zelnick,
yeah.
Zelnick, where he's trying to push that thought of $80. He already tried to set it out there. You can see it. And if Sony takes hold to it, being the market leader, you best believe he's going to jump onto it really quick, and everybody else is going to follow. And the bad part about it is that 2K has so much credence and so many games that people would be willing to shell that out for, 2K being one of them. These 2K fanatics, man, they'll buy it no matter what. I can see that becoming a standard, and I absolutely do not want that to happen. I do not want that to happen.
Vote with your wallet, people. Stop talking about how you'd pay for it, because guess what? They're listening. Stop. What are y'all doing?
This is why I get upset with our Hoove brothers, because they were some of the proponents who were, I'll pay $100 for a game.
Just the other day. They were doing that just the other day on the Crossfire podcast.
This is what I'm talking about. Ridiculous.
Yeah. They won't have me on that podcast because the Crossfire would be crazy. I'm just telling you that right now.
Oh, boy.
They'll gang up on you. There's too many of them on there. They'll gang up on you and try to silence you. But yeah, it's ridiculous to argue. I will never in a day argue to pay more as a consumer. It's just silly. If you're going to give me more value, maybe I can accept that. Like Kay's proposal of that, all those combined. Yeah, that's a good deal, I think, right? It's pricey, but it's a good deal to get all of those if you really want to, if you're going to game on all those different things. But I guess it also comes down to how many games can you try to play within that month of time frame too, right? How much free time do you have? So that factors into it. You're obviously your money of what you make and what you have to pay for these things. But in general, I'm never going to argue to pay more. That's just never going to come out of my mouth. You see, I don't pay for $70 games. You see me how I was complaining.
Yep.
$70? I didn't want to do that.
No, I don't do it either.
Yeah. See, and that's the beauty of waiting, right? And that's what I've learned doing the old PC route, is that I've learned. Stephen Avery, what do you say now?
Hey, man. I'll have you know my car uses no gas. Calm down, sir.
Kay Asante looks like his sister co-signed for his Toyota Camry.
Oh man!
Listen, Kay can afford it himself. Okay.
I don't think Steven does this in any other podcast, so I respect. He does
his
this
slander
every
is
week with
prolific. I appreciate it. It's good.
I was wondering if he would show up today. He did. But that's to the point. Sorry, I was just going to say, just to the point of that, I'm never going to argue for that. And being more, I don't want to say PC orientated now, but going to that side and building my Steam library and finding so many different sites where you can buy these games for so cheap. Mm-hmm. And I mean, if you really wanted to go the other illegal route, you can pirate too. Just saying.
Calm down there, sir.
You shouldn't do this. Wink, wink. But there's so many options out there, right? That's the beautiful thing.
So the day everybody was so gung ho about Elden Ring at their $70 price, I paid $31. Day one.
Mm-hmm.
This is the stuff, right? I call it the Tesla of gaming. You pay a lot on the front, and then you never have to look at a gas station again. You know what I'm saying? I never buy full price games, ever. $70 is a bridge too far for me, because the bits aren't more. the digital bits aren't more that justifies that 10 extra bucks.
Yeah.
So I'll pay a bit more on the front end on the hardware, and then never ever deal with what they say I have to pay for as far as
that was one of my complaints, actually, Kay. I said,
Yeah, I mean,
they're not giving us more for the 70, so why would I want to pay that?
Well, player sort of says in the chat there, Aniba and CD keys, and those, and I use those as well. So like I use them for Xbox games. So that option is there. They're obviously still a little bit more expensive than your Steam games. That's just the nature of the beast, because Steam itself is so cheap. So if you want to beat Steam, you've got to be cheaper, right? There's a level at which they're going to be cheaper to beat these games. So,
now, Riskit, you see why all your buddies are like, "Come on, man, come to this side.
Come on over.
Money in your pocket." This is why we say it,
over.
right? And if nothing else, don't do that. Don't do that. and if nothing else,
oh, there you go.
he's finally showed his final form, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, there you go. He's transformed.
I just don't, and I know there's lots of options. There's lots of things that there's a lot of things that people, we don't tinker, man. It's easy. The drivers are all there. But then every dude that I hear about going like, oh, I can't get this to work. How do I get this to do? I need to download. You need to download this. You need to that exists. You can't convince me it doesn't exist.
Risk
it exists.
You know how I know you're a Mac user? Because you're giving Windows XP problems right now. Like, what are you doing right now? Come on now. These are a problem of a bygone era. Like, seriously. I will tell you, and I say this all the time, and people know what I'm talking about. I get the same level of updates on my consoles that I get on my PC. Same level. Because I don't turn them on every damn day. So every time I do turn them on, oh, your controller needs an update. Oh, your console needs an update. And then guess what? You wait, it updates. You move on, right? But for some reason, when a PC says I need an update, we got to cry about it. Like, it's any piece of connected technology will need an update from time to time. And actually, you want them to have updates, because if you don't, then they're breaking, or no one's caring for them.
I see that often on PlayStation.
Yeah, look, and that's
turn it on. Oh, you got to update. I'm like, okay, because I don't turn it on hardly.
They all do.
Yeah, look, that's fine. But I mean, like, it is not as simple as sit down, plug and play. Like, it's just not. Like, and you need to have
the man who's not in the ecosystem.
I mean, look, it's
not in the ecosystem.
But it's not. I know it's not. We all know it's not. But it's not that complicated. I get what you're saying. It's not that complicated that it's unattainable, and that's why
it's not turn off your brain, hit the power button. But you are a smart man. It's not complicated at all. Like, at all. Like, it is more complicated playing on an iPad these days than it is playing on a PC.
Do you know the amount of workarounds? I mean, and I'll say as well, the amount of workarounds and stuff I had to do to get this MacBook Air to run the podcast, to do all the things that I needed to do.
Yeah, because you're using a square hole to fit into a round circle. You're the oddity who thinks Macs can rule the world. That's your problem, sir. Run on a PC, it runs like that.
They will rule the world one day.
All of this is geared for Windows machines, and you choose not to use a Windows machine to do it. So what are you going to
do? Steve Jobs will come down from the skies and be like, I have come to save you.
Gabe Newell has already done that for us with Steam.
Yes. Hey, I've said it before. I'll say it again. I will see the man risk it for the biscuit at GamesCom. Please, let's talk in the back. Oh, you're not coming? You're not doing it? No?
Oh, I'm there.
Oh, you're there. Okay. I want to come to GamesCom with something like this, and I have this on my desk, like my daughter's one. I want to come to GamesCom with something like this and say, here you go, Riskit, your new PC. And literally, that's what this is. And you plug it just like you would turn on a console. You plug in your HDMI cable, which is right there. You plug in your power cable, which is right there, Ethernet. And then you turn it on and it looks like a console because it's got big picture mode. And every game will just play. And that's how it works. And it connects to an Xbox via Bluetooth controller. Like, there is no ridiculousness.
We actually are using those at work now. So there's our tech guy is crazy, and I work for a company that employs 500,000. It's a ridiculously huge company. It's all over it's international. But our tech guy loves his tech, so you can sort of see he does stuff not for the necessity, but for the love of the tech.
He's a man after my own heart. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I love that. He's pushing the company. We have a robot, right, in the office that delivers food to your desk. Right, so this little robot like comes in, drops the food off of your desk and then drives out. I'm like, this is crazy. And I don't get. I've recently sort of just come into the office, so this is very very different sort of space for me.
But see, I'm telling you, man, it doesn't need to be the huge monster with the RGB lights and the huge like monster thick ass video card. Pause. It doesn't need to be all of that, right? You are not you're not at a level, you're not even sure how the driver situations work right now. You're not at a level where you're going to replace your consoles with this. You just want to see, it's like owning a Mac, it's like owning a Windows machine and a Mac. You want to dip your toe into the other ecosystem and see what there is to see there. Getting something like this will serve your purposes.
That I have played with. That's why I sent you that thing, like, because that PC was free on Facebook, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll grab that and just run the podcast through it and see how that works for me. Because
unfortunately, that stuff will get you. That's where you're gonna have to do a lot of your own stuff, because you're hodgepodging together old school tech and kind of making no. And then when it doesn't work, then you'll come on here and go, see, it's a lot of driver installations. No, this is
true on that end, because with the 4080 I have pre-built now, of course. I don't have this issue with the driver stuff. It's all there. And I have the NVIDIA that's automatically updating it. Sorry.
At 2 in the morning, it'll turn your PC on, update, and then shut itself down. When you go to play, it's a console. Like I don't get what.
I too had that thought, like, the drivers, I don't want to go through all of that, but no, it's been relatively pain-free.
Indeed, Mash. Man, power of the dark side is overwhelming.
It has been a thing this generation where we've seen people switch from Xbox to PC overwhelmingly, like an absolute flood of people. And I think Kay's had a little bit to do with that. I blame Kay actually almost.
Seriously, I don't have that much reach, sir.
I know he's working in the background. He's like, oh, are you still on Xbox? He's got a list of everyone who's still on Xbox, and he's like,
going exactly according to plan.
But the other thing as well, the other reason why I'm one of your last holdouts is because I sort of see, and I would ask J. Ron this question because he'll answer some things and some things he won't answer, but I wanted to ask him, I'm like, I don't think he'll answer that because that would give away the ghost, right? Like, my question to him is modular possible technically? And I sort of know the answer already. Like, technically, modular is possible technically.
I had that question. You know that, right?
It's more than.
Hey, do you remember me asking you that? I asked that and said, can they do that for the console like they would in a PC in a way, and have these components where you can kind of upgrade it, or have a tier system of consoles, for instance?
But the juice is not worth the squeeze there, though. That's the problem.
Exactly.
It's because, remember, consoles are not they're not a separate hardware profile, right? They used to be. You needed to build them in order to deliver games in a living room setting. They used to be an actual hardware profile. They needed their own environment. They needed all this. They still are, but they're really a marketing term right now, because the easiest way is to make it a PC in the background and pretend that it's a console, right? And because the juice is not worth the squeeze at this point, and it's cheaper to do it this way, right? It's not worth creating the bespoke hardware parts they'll need to settle it to Gen Pop. And how many Gen Pop individuals are going to go plug in a weird little card that gives you more? It's not worth it.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, exactly that. And then if you were to not create those hardware parts, then you're going to end up in a place where it's just a PC, right? And then, when you look at cost as well, like, it's like, well, what's the point? Why are we doing this? So there is that, there's that modular possibility, but the reason why it won't happen is just simply because of all the things that you need to do to create that. And then the uptick and the uptake of it. The other thing, though, that I think that I'm sort of holding out for is these next generation of consoles will be more for Xbox, will be more of an open ecosystem as opposed to a walled garden. Obviously, the GPU is going to be more powerful. The CPU will be more powerful. We'll be at and what is that power going to be? And what is the price point going to be? And where are we going to be at? And look, listen, we are realistically, I don't believe 2026 is that hard launch for the new console generation. I think that's probably the handheld, unfortunately, which I'm hoping is a lot sooner, but I think it's probably what it is. I think we're seeing 2028, and we're not that far away. Like we're 4 years away. I am happy with
I disagree.
Oh, you think it's 2026?
I think so. Huh?
I think the handheld will be the start of a generation. It's not a mid level. Oh yeah, we're going to keep everything the same, but here's a handheld. No, in order for the development pipelines to align, in order for you to start off the gate developing in a new way for a handheld to be viable, it needs to be the start of a new generation. That's why you don't drop it in the middle of the gen, right? Like
so that
the technology.
My point, right?
The chips and the technology are there now to where you can have a huge uplift in the same small package. You're asking how will the power look? The handheld space speaks volumes right now, right? The even though people don't really pay much attention because all they do is listen to the radio hits, and what I mean by that is your ROG allies and your Legion goes, right? Behind them, the chips beyond them are so damn performant. The only problem is they're tied to weak GPUs, right? So yeah, we'll take one of those. I mean, add a proper GPU, you are in a whole different ballgame, even today.
And look at Snapdragon, and what they're doing with ARM over there on the, and even just with the emulation that they're doing. And if you're doing that, natively like Mac do, then you would
try
to play a game on that piece of crap. I'm sorry.
I told him
that's emulation, right? We're not natively playing many Mac games. But look, but that sort of solidifies my point, right? Why am I at this point? Why am I going to switch over to or go get an expensive PC when we've got another console generation promised? We realistically, if they hit that console generation at 60 frames a second, 1440p, it'll likely be a lot higher than that as the standard. I believe it will be a lot higher than that as a standard. And then I've got access to Steam and Epic. If that's what they're doing, not interested in getting a PC. I don't know that that's what they're doing, but I'm fairly certain that's where we're going to land.
Here's the thing, though. You asked a very salient point. Where's the price going to come, right? Because I believe that the next generation pricing will kind of take you a little while to get used to. With an open ecosystem,
I'm down with
an open ecosystem comes actual pricing. People are used to this console pricing of $500. Your next gen real hardware ain't gonna be $500, B. I mean, there are ragoons paying $800 for debilitated hardware right now. I'm sorry.
Hey.
And they're paying $800 for what is the equivalent of a Series S today. Why would the console market makers open the ecosystem? Because that's the key part there, right? If the ecosystem is closed, then they can kind of suck the money back via their app store. But if it's an open ecosystem where you could potentially buy games from other app stores and it has to function there, then they got to get their money day one, right? So we're talking $700-800, and in that world, they're okay with you bringing your library because they're not going to start you. Oh, the gen starts with us. No one is that. No, well, except for PlayStation and definitely Nintendo. No one is that has that hubris to think that they start the generation, right? Microsoft is like, oh yeah, we're talking to Epic. They're going to bring their store. So guess what? That means your Alan Wake 2 will work day one with whatever hardware they bring, right? And that's the reason why we're like, you know what? Don't even worry about it. If you build a Steam store, Steam library, a lot of people already know that the Steam library exists, including the makers of these consoles. So you will walk into it day one with a store or a library that already has games that are populated, right? And that's the deal here. It's not like you're creating a library in an environment that you're going to have to then forego because now here's a new generation, right? And like I was saying early on, you guys can GTA 6 all day. It'll release a year later for me on my PC, and it'll still look better than yours.
And not only will it look better,
why bother wait?
It'll perform better too.
That's right.
That brings us to, I do want to jump to the next one before I do, guys. Please hit the like button, share us out. We go live 8 p.m. EST every Friday, and this one wasn't on the docket, but I wanted to bring it up. You guys had a very in-depth conversation about it the other day, and I align a lot with your feelings of it. But we had the Xbox outage, and then I was watching a conversation that John Linneman was having, and his concern, the concern of digital ownership is always linked. It always inexorably linked to Game Pass incorrectly.
Yeah.
Right? because you didn't walk into Blockbuster and you didn't go in there and you didn't go, I'm worried about owning this game. You knew what you were doing. Like, people take the piss and say Game Pass is a rental service. Like, fine, that's how.
So what?
That's how you got to treat it. Exactly. It's how you got to treat it. That's what it is. There's no digital ownership there, and there's no concern for digital ownership there for me. However, and it also adds more value to the service that other digital licenses, like when you buy Forza 4 or whatever, like they delisted that digital licensing, but it brings up a lot of questions around who's regulating this? Like, who is looking after this? Who
decides when you're done, right? Who decides when all the money you spent and put into it and all the effort and you own this, you own that. When they flip that light switch, who decides that now all your purchases are now poof?
And what's the obviously the consumers bought a product. You don't go and buy. You might buy a bike and then 20 years later that bike's rusted out in the shed, dying, right? And you're not going to ride it, right? But that's your fault. That's due to you. You purchased that product.
And that's your choice.
Look after it.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So yes, we did have that conversation. Please continue.
But with the digital, and this is my concern, is that there's no regulatory body looking after this, and I'm generally not for regulatory bodies. But really, when you've got the corporates, making those decisions of how long you own something, and then the other thing to think about is as a corporate body, the amount of money that's required to invest in servers and et cetera, things like that, to hold some of these games, going. I think there should be sort of a list of digital licensing. Like, hey, you're buying a multiplayer game only, and this is the life of the multiplayer game. We're expecting 10 years. If you get more, you get more, and we'll re-sign that license, and we'll let you know. And that's the conversation. But when you buy in, you've got 10 years with this game. With a single player game.
My pushback on that though, even multiplayer only games, you can easily roll out a patch that then makes it ad hoc. There are many multiplayer games that used to be server connected that now are connected to my server connects to your server, or you roll your own server. That is literally putting the ownership back to the person who bought it. Yeah, that server that connected everybody's no longer exists, but who cares? Let the community roll their own. That exists, right? And it's not that much of an uplift if you put their feet to the fire. No one does. So it's out of the goodness of their heart. And we're talking businesses. They don't have hearts, right? This is my problem with it, right? There are so many ways of getting all this stuff done. There's so many ways of keeping you as your and your digital rights to you. Obviously, we're talking technology. We're talking about like stuff that's a fair.
We don't have any. We don't have any digital rights. You just mentioned digital rights.
Yeah.
We literally don't have any rights to this.
Exactly.
You buy this stuff, giving away your right to it.
Yeah.
Like immediately.
Exactly.
You've just paid money for nothing, really.
Like Player says right now, Redfall is offline now. No reason for it. No reason for it. It's because before they had the opportunity or before they were made to make offline mode a thing, they fired everybody and went, okay, we're done, right? If there was some kind of watchdog body or some kind of body that everybody adhered to, they'd be like, nah, man, you guys are not doing that to the consumer. They purchased it. They own it. If you're not going to continue supporting it, fine. Put that offline mode so people can roll their own and continue.
What about having the gaming into perpetuity, such as Bobby Hawk just pointed out? It is true that Steam says, that if you pass away, that license it's not transferable to your family. They don't get a chance to get that. What do you think about that?
Oh no, another very egregious. I love these conversations because people will say I'm spending the Gabe bucks. Yes, I love Steam. I'm in that ecosystem. But I will tell you what it is. It's a very nice pillow that you lie on that's literally a jail because it's all nothing but DRM anyway. Right?
Right.
They can also wake up one morning and go flip and it's all gone. Right. The key here is there needs to be some body, and I won't call it regulatory or otherwise because I know that gives people irritations. There needs to be some kind of body that looks out for us, right?
Or legislation. There's no legislation around this.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or that says, hey, console maker, if you're done with your generation, now send a code that makes sure that it doesn't require check-in, authentication. Hey, because that way your PS3, your PS2, and all those can live on. If they break, that's within the bounds of right to repair. They can sort that out themselves. but it's not for you to artificially limit their lifespan, right? They're not end of service life because you choose so. They're end of service life when the actual consumer who purchased them has gotten to the end of its use case. There are those like me who, like, to this very day, my Xbox One, my OG Xbox, is sitting there and is kicking. I've switched it from standard old dusty hard drives to SSDs, and it's still going because I can do that. I know how to do that. But I should not have to do that. There should be a patch that comes out, and I'm talking about your PS3. I'm talking about your Xbox One. I'm talking about all the past consoles. I'm talking about when there's an outage with authentication servers, and they could have easily circumvented that, but no one is pushing their feet to the fire. So they go, yeah, you just wait. Are they going to give you some money back on that subscription service you pay every month to keep it to play whenever you want? Of course not. But they'll let you wait for 2 days or an hour, however long they let you wait.
Where's Lena Khan when we need her?
Exactly.
Agreed. Part of the problem there, though, is, I mean, and I think that Lena would fight this battle. She's fought battles like, I said this throughout the entire ABK thing when we were realistically all against her. She's fought battles for the American people that you guys should be frankly grateful for, that no one else would take on.
My greed of wanting ABK games. Yeah, my greed of wanting more games day and date overruled Lena, but she is necessary, and they are necessary. Yeah. It's true.
She does great. Yeah. She does do great work. She makes bad decisions, but a lot of the bad decisions have gotten good things done. Like, to be fair, and because if it's a topic, I'll look at the topic in entirety, because I wanted to know who Lena was when I was bagging her out. Which is why I know all that stuff, because I started to get really into what she was up to, what she was doing, what she did, and she did some great work. So I'll give her a props.
He started to stalk her and check her out from a distance.
There's some crazy feet pics on that. No, I'm kidding. But like, I think the console war does feed into this ridiculous console war. It really is ridiculous. I'm getting to a point where I'm so exhausted with it, man. Like, it's just exhausted. Like, the same narratives that people just keep spitting at you. Like, it's like, dude, do you not think I've heard this 1,000 times? Stop spitting this at me. But anyway, I digress. Going back to, I think the fear of what the PlayStation community will do is why a lot won't call this out. Like, because it's just a unique. They're like, oh, it's Xbox systems are down, Xbox bad. PlayStation guys jump on it, Xbox guys defend it. We can't have any real conversations about this when that's happening, so yeah, I mean, like, that is something to call out. It's a problem that they have. It's an easily fixable problem. And I think that the console war sort of hurts the conversation around it. So they're important to have. And it's not a uniquely Xbox problem. This is not an Xbox thing. This is just a console issue, and not just completely
not even console.
When it comes to DRM.
This is a digital. This is a digital issue. This is a digital issue on period. Like, one day Amazon that you bought all your movies on can sit there, and they've actually done that by accident. Oh, it was an accident, and then boom, all your movies are gone. PlayStation stopped having a deal with one of the publishing arms that allowed for movies and TV show out of nowhere. The purchase library that you purchased was gone. Right, and we're busy fighting each other.
Look at World of Warcraft. They shut that down because they had a NetEase issue with Activision. Had the NetEase issue with in China, and millions. I think it was millions of people lost access to a game that they would have played for years on end, built content, paid for, so on and so forth, and they just lost access because two companies were having a problem. That shouldn't be able to happen.
And as a technologist in the room, I will tell you, there is technically it's not impossible to keep it going without those businesses continuing. And it's a relatively small uplift to take your hands off of it. Now, they don't want to, because they want to one day be able to bring it back and choose to do with it what they want. The reason why I still can't get my Jet Set Radio Future off of the OG Xbox is because one day Sega wants to bring it back, and they want to reserve the right to keep it for themselves, right? But that's business. Where's our interests in this? Why is our interest not being considered, right? And I love all these services. I think Microsoft does great work. I'm a big fan of what they do. I think out of all the services, they are the most consumer friendly and all of that. But still, in general, we in a world of digital rights where you got GPT basically dictating all parts of your life and all of this, there needs to be watchdog bodies that represent the consumer and what you purchase. And today that does not exist. So we're sitting there getting screwed left and right, and you can't do anything about it.
We don't even have the first step. We don't even have the first step, which is to legislate this. So there's no legislation protecting the consumer's digital rights. Like there's a minimal amount, and there's nothing that sort of enforces ownership when purchased. But as well, I want to come back because Elemental Hero in the chat said, physical. He mentioned something about physical media, and I forget exactly what he said. But no, the missing key factor is physical media. Physical media is the backup key. No, you're too late. You're too late.
Yep.
The battle's lost. That's the wrong battlefield to be on. Like we need to shift into this digital space, understand what's happening, and legislate what's happening now. Physical is not the future, and physical will go away whether you like it or not. It's not where the battle is anymore. The battlefield is shifted.
Physical. The reason why we say physical is not the battlefield, and you're absolutely right, is because ever since the 360 generation, they have not been giving you like actual physical media, right? Nintendo has, because by nature of their technology or how far away from the future it is, they're still putting all the games on the disc and giving it to you. More often than not, you're just getting a hex key that gives you access to the various download bits. Ever since day one patch days, which is the 360, and when I say 360, I'm just using the 360 as the benchmark, the same thing on the PlayStation, right? Ever since that day, you think of the very last time you had an outage, right? Even games you own sometimes require authentication before you're able to get to it. They authenticate all your stuff digitally, even if you're on a physical disc, right? Ever since they stopped spinning the disc to read the stuff and they kept installing stuff, you've lost access to all that. Physical is just the thing they sell you. It's not actually real anymore. And that's the reason why, as Riskit is saying, you need someone to have your digital rights at heart, because that plane has already left the station. We're already plummeting down, and now we're asking for parachutes. You're already out of the plane. It's too late for that one at this point,
Yeah, exactly that. But physical media still lets you play offline. A couple of Twitter accounts that deal with physical media have mentioned it, and yes, and increasingly less and less. So some do, but increasingly less and less and less and less and less games. And the battle is just not there. You can't legislate a company to create physical media, but you can legislate a company and regulate a company on what they do with your digital purchases.
I guess what we're saying here, real quick, what we're saying here is it's not to say that it's all lost and it sucks, right? That's not what we're saying. What we're saying here,
I did say that, but I didn't mean it.
Yeah, there's that. It's leaving it to each of these companies' devices is a bad place to be, because today, like, I can tell my kids the wonders that is Mario Brothers 3. I can still show it to them. They can still play it, right? Like, there's a future where all these awesome games you're playing right now, you will not be able to share with the next generation because someone decided to hit the light switch and you had no agency in it whatsoever. That's the problem. Right. That is the fundamental issue. The things that we grew up with, we can pass down. The things that are now coming up, we can't pass down because it's decided by others when it's time for them to be sunset. Right. That's the problem.
Yeah. I mean, and you could with a lot of these older consoles, as Kay was pointing out, like the SNES but even the 360, you can go back with those 360 discs, and like we're out of that generation now. You go back to the Xbox One, that's not the experience you're getting. You put in a disc and you got to download, you got to connect, and if that ecosystem for some reason were to go away, or that licensing was for some reason to go away, there goes that game. And it should be legislated against. Like I know a lot of people against regulatory, bodies on this stuff, but there are points there is a reason for regulatory bodies, and there is points at which we need them. Like there is things that they do that are good for us as human beings, as consumers, as customers. And so we should always embrace what's good and reject what's bad.
And I'll put a quick note. Lotus Esprit, shout out to him. He reminds me that there has been a recent patch, so now Redfall is offline playable. Hey, look at that. So again, I appreciate the fact that is good, but it was to their, like, they chose to do that. If they didn't choose to do that, nobody would force them. That's the problem.
Right?
Everyone.
By the way, I don't think anybody will force them because nobody is realistically.
Shut up, man. I knew he was going to do that.
I mean,
I knew he was going there.
Nobody and their mama trying to play Redfall, but yeah, hey.
Hey, now that it's fully
agree.
offline, I actually genuinely will play that game. I will. I play Elden Ring offline. I hate when all these people running around
don't like
trying to
that
tell me
either.
something.
I've never liked that
offline.
in From Software games. One time I was playing, the first time I was really into it, I was playing I think Dark Souls, and this random dude just came out, and I'm like, I'm about a fire camp, about a fire, and I'm like, who's this dude? And I step away, and he starts stabbing me. I'm like, what the hell is this?
Oh yeah, they invaded.
I'm like, this is not a normal enemy. And he's red running around. I'm like, he killed me and took my stuff. I'm like, you son of a right. I don't like that either. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yep. The first thing I do is turn off all those things. That's what I do.
So comically inclined in the chat said, like, if Xbox were to get out of the console game, like they probably will in the next 6 years. So like, there's a very different. This is the thing. Like, so who's to say what will happen? But what you need to understand is because Kay will probably break this down a little bit better than me, but there's these are virtual machines that sit on PCs. So if Xbox were to get out of the console game, what's very likely to happen is that they'll detach that hypervisor or those virtual machines from the console, make them available for third-party producers or hardware producers, and then you would have an Xbox on a Lenovo, an Xbox on an Asus. That may happen sooner than you think. But also, the thing that happens there is when you detach it from, someone will get a hold of that virtual machine and you'll be able to place that on your PC. That'll, and so digital preservation will sort of happen there.
Yeah. And the Windows.
And Xbox isn't going away. This is the thing. People saying Xbox is going away in the 6 years. I don't think so. And this is the thing you need to understand. Being in third place doesn't mean losing. Being in third place means you've got, let's say 30 to 40, which I actually think it's more. I think it's more like 50 to 60. But say you've got, 30 to 40 million consoles out there in the world. That is not a small number, and it is not a small number of revenue that you're bringing in. This is not losing. This is not a race where you need to be at the top. This is a race where you need to have longevity and growth.
It's a marathon.
That's how these races are run.
It's not a race, it's a marathon.
So if you're thinking of it like third place is second loser Magnum. There's no, you're not losing if you're making money, man. But just because my boss makes more money than me, that doesn't mean that I'm losing. That just means that he's making more money than me. We're both winning because we're both working, making money, right? And the opportunity is still there for me to make more money. The opportunity is still there for Xbox to make more money as well. So this whole mindset of like that people seem to have picked up from and I would say the pony community. The whole mindset of this winning and losing because of sales is really, really asinine and just not well thought out. So
I would ask, by what metric are you gauging that first, second, and third third, right? Because if your mark of success is profit, they are not third place, ladies and gentlemen. They are not third place, right? If it's revenue, maybe they are. But if your competitor gets a lot more revenue and then puts a lot of marketing into it, so that means the cash they take home is far less than yours. Guess who's winning? You are, right? They're spending a lot to keep their ball in the air. You don't spend as much, and you get to take more of your money home. Like if you talk to the actual cash that comes in your pocket that you go home with, they are like number one, close to Nintendo. So by what metric are you saying they're first, second, and third? If you talk about console sales, yeah, that's a horseshoe maker derivative term from a bygone era that doesn't matter to them as much anymore. As long as the cash going home is top tier, they don't care how that's
the takeaway. Exactly.
That's right. You know what I mean? We need to get out of these frames where we're defining terms by a specific singular metric. The metric is money, right? How much money are they taking home? They make more than most. And by that metric, they're like winning all the various key indicators, right? So it is what it is,
To your question, there, player, like or statement rather, because of Risk, as you just highlighted it. Risk, what's the overall poll looking like?
Oh
yeah, absolutely. I was about to sort of end that poll. The overall poll is looking like we got no's at 71%. And then we got your yeses at 29%. So look, that's a larger number than earlier in the show. So
Yeah.
I would be in that 29%, man. I would 110% pay that $40 to have some subscriptions consolidated. And, but if they have $5 add-ons or $10 add-ons, there's lots of ways that they could do this. They could do the Inception subscription. And at no point in this show did we say that the value of it's not worth it. It's worth it to me. And that's very subjective. Yeah. So I think the value is huge. If you compare it to, again, Ubisoft and all those ones, I completely agree with Player. That's not wrong. Going back to that conversation. Well, look, we had a bit of a fantastic conversation with really just a couple of topics that sort of got pulled out of the thin air. So it's always a good conversation. It's always great to have you on, Kay. Really appreciate you coming through, man. I did not know you were coming. He just jumped in last minute. Really appreciate it.
I was like, why not? It's awesome. I always can I always will when I can. I appreciate the invite. It's great to have these great conversations with individuals who, we all have different thoughts on things, but we think about them deeply, and we're not here poking people with sticks. Pause. So it's always good to have. There you go.
We beat the horses with it. We beat the ponies with them, though. We'll beat you.
I've definitely stopped the stick. the stick poking is sort of. I honestly, like I said, I'm just exhausted with it. The responses and narratives are the same, and for different topics. You know what I mean? Like they don't match the topics, but they match the topic, if that makes sense. Like, so the narrative for this is this, the narrative for this is this, and that's what you'll get spit at you every time you say something. And in comes the PlayStation guy, go kill yourself and console sales. And then like the next guy, dude, like some of the stuff that I get is like, and it's just exhausting, it's exhausting.
How do you even convince yourself as a person, like, even if you're not an adult, how do you convince yourself to wish death on somebody over gaming? How do you get to that point? What the hell is wrong with people, man?
If you find yourself attacking a human because of their thoughts on things, reevaluate your life. You can cause slander on whatever they say. Riskit comes out with some wild madness from time to time. I'll be honest. Sometimes I'm just like, brother, what? Where did you pull that one out of? He's still a decent human being, man. We can still have a conversation. You know what I mean? Like,
indeed.
What is that all about? Absolutely.
And you want that wild madness because what makes the world go around. I tell you, it ain't love.
And sometimes I learn something. Sometimes I learn something. Sometimes it's a teachable moment, but it makes for great conversation. It's great.
Indeed.
Well, Kay, look, let everyone know where they can find you, what you're up to. Obviously, talk about the Gaming Circle podcast, talk about the Gaming Circle blog. Talk about we've got Gamescom coming up, so we're going to meet in person. So it's going to be fun. So let people know what's going on coming up.
Absolutely. So yes, thank you for having me. Always a pleasure being here. I'm either lurking in the chat or I'm always honored to be here and be a part of the conversation. I miss the full panel. I love Holly, love Donte. Got to meet them in LA. Garuda's a great dude. I actually want to get Garuda on my show one of these days. I love his takes and his opinions on gaming as well. So it's always a pleasure to be listening to your air, listening to the stuff you guys are doing. As for me, tomorrow, as we all know what the topics are of the conversation, tomorrow myself, Everborn Saga, will be going to be on GCP Gaming Circle podcast, 10 a.m. Eastern U.S. time, and basically we'll have more talk about all the industry moving and shaking. But as you have said, we have started our new little initiative, a little blog we call the Gaming Circle, the gamingcircle.com. A fun little thing we're doing. We have some interested writers who are contributing here and there, and I'm doing that, and all of us are contributing interesting stories. Yeah, we do the news thing as well, but we're trying to lean more heavily on the evergreen topics, the conversations that we as gamers just want to have. And recently, a conversation that came about in the form of an article was the Black Viking came out with an article asking the question of all questions.
A blasphemous question.
A blasphemous question. Ladies and gentlemen, how to evolve Halo. His take is get rid of the old Master Chief instead of
everyone go send your hisses and anger.
Send your hisses and blues. But I'm gonna call. We're gonna adjudicate his points. And jokes aside, jokes aside, he wrote a very great article. Put a lot of thought into it. Put a lot of interest into it. And I enjoyed reading the hell out of that thing. And I think it's worth the conversation. So we're gonna break it down. I know that Everborn is like the biggest like Halo fan, like I am. So just the thought of it is blasphemous, but we're gonna break it down and talk about that tomorrow on the show.
Are you gonna play devil's advocate, K, or are you really gonna
bro,
gonna handle it?
Bro, I probably have more Master Chief paraphernalia in my house than most anybody I know.
Yeah.
I think it's blasphemous to the highest order, sir. Blasphemous to the highest order.
Okay.
How are you gonna tell me to depreciate Mario in favor of Toad? Are we doing the Super Toad Brothers now? Get out of here with that BS.
Toad Bobby Hawk says it says you got to be careful. You might start off friendly, but then IGN will buy you out. Right? So
hey man, they gotta eat too. I don't know if you've been to LA, but it like they make six figures and they're barely making it. So sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Anyway. So yes, come check us out. If you have a chance to check out the old gamingcircle.com, the Gaming Circle blog. A lot of interest in that now. We're pushing a lot of stuff there as well. And of course, as Riskit was saying, I will be going to GamesCom. Finally got some press credentials to go to GamesCom. Super excited. Looking forward to chatting with some developers and things. And the great Riskit for the Biscuit will be in the house. So we're gonna do some. Let's be honest, we're gonna do some drinking. That's what's gonna happen. We're gonna do a lot of drinking. We're gonna do
good. You're drinking, man. Yeah. This is good. Man. No one can keep the only person who could keep up with me at 2023's Fan Fest was Alan, man. Alan Sloth.
I was talking to Alan this afternoon. We are so excited to kind of all meet up and do that. So yeah, he wants to reach out to you absolutely as well. So yeah, man, expect content from us.
Is
maybe
Idol going out there too? Is he going to be going?
Idol will be in the house, bro. Nice. Idol will be in the house. Yes, I'm excited.
Shout out to Idol Sloth, our brother.
Yeah. Yes. Doing great work. Doing great work. He has big things coming. Very excited to see what he does there. But yeah, keep an eye on the channel. Keep an eye on our stuff. We're doing a lot of interesting community focused stuff that you'll hear soon enough. But yeah, once again, thank you guys so much for having me. It's always a pleasure being here.
Dude, thank you for coming through last minute. It was honestly, absolutely every time you're in a room, you elevate the conversation. So we love having you on. Umbra, let the people know where we can find you, what you'll be up to, and hopefully you'll be back next week with the fix, right? I mean,
yeah, I hope so. I hope to be.
It was a good show this week. Probably one of your best. I got to do that. I got to do. I got to do it. Like,
boy, oh brother, this guy. No, I'll be back this week. We'll be back this week. The thing is that I want to change how we do what we do, man. And that's why I'm trying to have these brainstormings and such with people behind the scenes. I'm just trying to change it up because I don't want to continue doing the whole just news cycle. Like what Kay is doing tomorrow, for instance, is what we did here today. It's more of where I want to venture into. So I'm kind of trying to challenge myself to think outside of the box of the norm and what I can do. And I would love you guys in the chat for you guys' thoughts on that too, of what you would like. I guess that feeds into our first topic, Risk. It's like, what would you guys like, right? In this case, I'm open to that because I want to try to change up and not just have the standard, this is what was in the news today. Let's talk about this thing. Not that that's not important because it does matter too. But I want to have more than that. Hot tubs themes, streams, I'm not for that, Risk. I'm not sure I'm down for that one just yet. But yeah, in general, things like that. Bobby Hawk, if it's anything PlayStation related, you may as well forget it.
Yeah. Wow. They're going hard, bro. They're going hard. I see toe jam feet pics. Jesus. What are you doing?
I got all the toe jam in the world for you, Gray. But no, thank you all in the chat for being here. And of course, like Riskit said, okay, you always elevate the conversation, brother. It's always a blessing to have you around, of course. And just because we're guaranteed to get great takes and knowledge. You know what I mean? So always it's a blessing always. And Risky did a great job as well today. I did the best, of course, out of all of us. Now, how did the horse even relate to that?
There you go.
Yeah. You're now welcome to the PC elitist. But yeah, of course. Yeah, you started it back up. You all can find me on Twitter, Infinite Umbra or Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way. Tuesdays, Boom's Xbox Factor, which I missed this week too, by the way. Shout out to Boom. I got to have a conversation about that one. Anyway, and Thursdays, the Xbox, I almost said the Xbox, the Fix, myself and Daniel J. McGee. And of course, you're back with us. And that's, at 8 o'clock Eastern, by the way, for that. And tonight, of course, 8 o'clock Eastern. So, yeah, thank you all in the chat for being here. Thank you, Kay, for joining us. I hope you guys come back and support us more. Much love.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Every week you come through for me, man. So I really appreciate it. It's been like I think we're definitely 3 years. I think we'd be pushing 4 years soon, man, that we've been doing this.
Crazy.
Is it? Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been a while. It's been painful,
time.
but no, it's been amazing. And listen, just on that, I'm just gonna say, like, there's a lot coming up for me. Obviously, I'm heading off to Gamescom. Guys in the chat, so I'll be in Gamescom. I'm not sure how that will work for the months leading up. Prior, I'm going to be in Spain. I've got Wi-Fi installed there. I'm not sure how great it is. I need to get down there and test it all out. So I'll try to figure something out. I'll have all the gear brought down there. I'll be podcasting from a roof on top of a villa overlooking a mountain. It should be pretty scenic for me.
Well, all right.
Do the old like. But I don't know how it would go. So yeah, keep an eye out. Plus, I've got a lot of work changes. So I've got a promotion and I'm handling a whole bunch of extra work on top of what I was doing now. So and it seems like it's going to be a lot of work. So that's going to be interesting too. So look, the next couple of weeks of the show is what I'm saying is probably going to be a little bit rocky as to whether we do or don't go live. And I won't know till close to time. Keep an eye on Twitter. I'll let you know, and I'll try and post on YouTube as well. So you guys have that subscribe button hit, so you've got the bell so you get notifications when I do post a community note. All you guys in chat, though, have been absolutely amazing. I wanted to say that. I love every single one of you guys each week coming through supporting us. You guys are amazing and funny, and you have great takes. Like Elemental, I agree with the physical media. It's important. I think it's important, you know. And all you guys that add to the conversation, we really appreciate you guys coming through. So thank you each and every week. We appreciate every one of you.
You know what I just thought about for you too, by the way?
Except for Bobby.
Right, except for you, Bobby. You suck. No, yeah, we love you, Bobby. We just messing. Yeah, no, I just thought about it. Since you guys are going to be at GamesCom, and Kay, you did join at one time to Boom's podcast, even to have a little discussion. Why don't you guys do a drinking, you're drinking and have a little gaming discussion of what you've seen out there for content?
Or we get Idle on. That could be dangerous.
Yeah, get all three of you.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
We shall see, sir. That is a good point that we may explore. We shall see.
Nice.
I think that's a good. We'll talk about that in the background. But everyone in the chat, you guys are amazing, and we'll see you all next week. Thank you, Kay. Thank you, Umbra. See you maybe next week.